back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Good morning, Raphael. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. Want to go ahead and make mention that Inside Sports Fantasy Football, another great season, has wrapped up with our thoughts on the Super Bowl. So go ahead and check it out. Or you can catch it also as well on the Lakers Fast Break podcast as well. Want to go ahead and give a big shout out to all those who help us out throughout the year, including the Lakerholics crew at Lakerholics.com. Of course, Empire Jeff TV covering the Lakers and also as well the Dodgers. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, also as well, of course, everyone out there that helps us out, including great people like Alfred Esmond, Legend 350, Stone Hansen, and all the great people that are part of what we do each and every time out. John Costas, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner, Zach with his Lakers Live. Truly appreciate all those great outlets that we're on right now. And of course, don't forget here at the Lakers Fast Break. Don't forget as well, you can like and subscribe. Please do so. It does help the channel if you can. Love to go ahead and hear your thoughts as well in the chat. Also, as well, of course, don't forget you can get a membership now that'll get you inside videos that are released to you guys first as members. Also, inside information. Of course, we throw articles every now and then up there as well. Got shorts that are exclusive now to the area known as the members only platform. So go ahead and become a member today for just $2.99 a month. And it helps out the whole Lakers Fast Break channel indeed. I'm hoping Joe has woken up so he can come and join me here. I've put the call out to the entire panel as far as from everywhere from the Lakerholics crew to, I don't know, I guess everybody, I guess. Yeah, I put out to call to over 10 people, so hopefully we'll get some people joining us today. But he is here. Hopefully going to change his name. It is, of course, the guy behind Ox 1947 at LakersBall.com, and of course Simblades with a Y.com, and of course his game Corrupt, COREUPT, on Steam. It is Joe Soro. Joe, great to have you here. Good morning.
Good morning. Are you going to give Luca a number yet, or what?
Shut up. I'll give him a number when I'm
number.
good and damn well ready.
What is this?
Give him 77.
Amateur hour?
Shut up. You're an amateur. They can't even see it. You can't even see it. How can you see it?
I can see it. It bothers me.
Yeah, you can't see it. What's up, Kenneth on Facebook? How you doing? We love coming back on the stream. So much going on. Yeah, I'll send it to you. Absolutely. We'd love to have you come back on the stream. Of course, it is Gerald Glassford along with, of course, Joe Soro. Joe, great to have you here. Going ahead and talking about the NBA trade deadline. Some early along the fringes type stuff has happened so far. Reggie Jackson is on the move. Had a couple other small trades as well. Empire Jeff is on Twitter talking about how the Lakers won the trade deadline. We're going to be refreshing on Twitch all day. Your thoughts, my friend, on what's gone on so far? Davion Mitchell at, I guess, PJ Tucker is just like all over the place now. PJ Tucker went up to Toronto. Davion Mitchell is going to Miami. I actually kind of like that for Miami because he's a defensive-minded guard. They're really going defense in Miami at this point in time. But your thoughts on an excellent trade deadline for the Lakers so far?
Really? We didn't talk about this yesterday?
Or the day before? Or the day before? Do you think they'll do anything today?
Maybe, yeah, because I think they're trying to see if they can find a. I don't. Common sense tells me Kleber's not going to get taken by anyone because he's kind of restricted in terms of what you can get. But maybe a favor. Maybe Rob could ask for a favor this time and hook up somebody, whomever takes his contract. I don't know. I think they've opened up a roster spot for a buyout. I think they do that pretty much every year, anyways. And then that's pretty much what I see happening here. Unless it's significant, then I think they're probably done. I really think so.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know. Rob is. I did not expect Luca, and I didn't expect Mark Williams. That was yeah, that was way out of left field. I had no idea. I didn't even think about him. No answer.
Well,
No answer
the
at this point.
reports had the Lakers first trying down the way of Detroit for Jalen Duren. Your thoughts on the Lakers initially going after Jalen Duren, if you read the reports and believe that those are true?
Yeah, I read it. I'm not really don't really care. I don't really care about what could have happened at this point. I'm so not interested in finding out what and where and why. All I know is the Lakers fulfilled everything they needed here in the last 5 days to compete for a championship and also extend that desire for the next decade. And
Hmm.
I'm not really gonna worry about whether we could have gotten Duran or whether we could have gotten Kessler. I think Ainge is already hurt enough by what's happened apparently from what we've found out, and let him continue to hope to get what he wants for what he has. And Lakers have what they want. The only thing that can ruin anything is injuries, but that's every single team in sports.
Yeah. Also here today, dropping in, good man indeed. It is Henry Hill. Henry, great to have you here. Good morning, my friend.
Top of the morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Tired as all holy hell, but we promised to do this, even though
What
it's
time did you
might
sleep
be.
last night, Gerald?
You don't want to know. You really don't want to know. And then I had to get up early to take the kids to school and the wife to work. But it is what it is. We're here. We're committed. We said we would do this. Thinking at the time we were going to be needing a lot of stuff, and there'd be a flurry of Lakers activity just before the deadline. There still might be some activity, Henry, but right now, with where we're at, let me hear your thoughts, my friend. I know we only usually get little bits and pieces from you when you're on playback, but now that we have a chance to talk, let me hear your thoughts on exactly the Luka trade, adding Mark Williams, just your overall thoughts on what the Lakers have done this trade deadline period.
I'm gonna spend this weekend while my wife is out with her coworkers on Saturday. Watch some Mark Williams footage games. I did ask a friend of mine who's a huge LaMelo fan if he knew anything about Mark Williams, and he said that when he plays, he's really good, and he had a breakout month this past month. So I'm excited about that. I just want to take a look at it. The things to caution about, my friend told me was one, obviously a little bit of an injury history, but I don't think my friend said he doesn't think he's had any major surgeries yet, just nagging foot, big man issues. Another thing he told me to be careful about is the motor, but I feel like that can be fixed by playing for a winning team. I mean, who wouldn't want to like play with Luca? And Luca elevates his teammates, which goes to my point about the Luca trade. I mean, I think the Lakers clearly won. We've discussed it in the WhatsApp chat we have. Obviously, it's good times. We moved on from AD. It sounded like a little bit of reports are coming out that they weren't planning on extending AD either in this summer, or there's trade talks going to happen. I think it just got accelerated now. I'm
Hmm.
excited, man. I'm excited. I feel like I was telling my wife earlier today, with all the moves going on, I feel like Rob Pelinka after the Russell Westbrook trade was just so hesitant to not make another mistake. But I feel like this got his aura and confidence back.
Yeah, it did, and absolutely. And so you, myself, and Joe have been really hard on Rob Pelinka over the years, and he, as I've said, he was part of some of the worst trades in Lakers history, but he's also now been part of some of the best in most likely what will be Lakers history as well. As for now, everybody else in LA is reevaluating Rob and Rob Pelinka's performance going forward. How are you feeling about Rob Pelinka at this point in time?
How can I not feel great? You got to give the
Ah,
man his props. Props where it's due. He did what he had to do. He executed great trade. No one knew about it. Everyone was in shock. He got Luka Doncic. I mean, Mikal Bridges went for like 5 first-round picks, and we only gave up 1 first-round pick. Granted, we did give up AD as well. I'm feeling good about him. I'm feeling good about him. Hey, props where it's due. Let's move forward. I really do think this team has a shot with these new additions. I really do think so. I think the West is wide open. I think Luca is just that dynamic of a player, and LeBron still has it. I mean, now he doesn't need to be the number one guy. We found the number one guy. So you're gonna catch me talking a little crazy here, Gerald. I know we're usually negative, but you're gonna start catching me talking a little crazy if I come on these podcast appearances. If I'm on playback, you're gonna be catching me very positive, talking a little bit crazy, unheard of
and
things.
myself as well. I mean, I've completely done a 180 in the past 7 days about where this team was going to where it can go, and I think it's very justified, Henry, because you and I, over the course of the past couple of years on playback, we have seen under the Darvin Ham period and now with JJ, that this team with LeBron and AD, that window had, in my opinion, closed. It just, you could not find, with the assets that they had, enough to build around those guys to once again put them back into the mountaintop or on top of the mountaintop for a world championship. I just did not see a pathway through. I kept trying to convey that to the audience. There were some that didn't want to listen. But again, now that this is, as far as it's concerned, opened up a window for us, in my opinion, with Luka Doncic. It's given us new life as Lakers fans because Luka
Absolutely,
Doncic,
it has.
even if without the Mark Williams trade, again, as I said in on this chat in the past couple of days, this makes us competitive against any team in the NBA. You get Luka and LeBron in a 7-game series, and if they get hot, Henry, who knows what can happen? But with Mark as a 7-footer coming in there as well, if he can play like he has played in the last month, a lot of good things can happen for the
Yeah.
Lakers.
Like I said, I have to watch more on Mark before I give any definitive take or analysis, but it looks like he was having a breakout month, yes. And I agree. We do have a chance. And time for Lakers fast break to be the most positive show out there, I guess, boys. Let's go. I mean, we got Luca. I don't know what else to say.
Absolutely. But Henry, yeah, stay with us. Anything else in the NBA that you've liked so far? Some of the trades that have gone out there. Butler is now, I equated similar to when the Lakers went really old and brought back the 2015 All Star team back in 2022, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think that the Golden State Warriors have gone that route. And I know Legend is in the chat, and if Legend wants to stop by, Kenneth, I sent you the link as well. So both you guys have the link. But yeah, if uh, I don't know where they're going, I don't know what the direction is. I think this is a sign of desperation on Golden State's part. I don't think it's really going to pan out. I mean, Jimmy, what does he have left? And the fact that you gave him a year extension on top of what he was going to be able to get already at 50 mil or whatever he's going to be making. Yeah, that very puzzling times if you're in Golden State.
I'll let Joe jump in here right after I say this, because I know the fans are here for Joe and not me. The
We're
Jimmy
here
thing, I
for they're here for everybody. They're here for
it's all
everybody.
good. It's all good. The Jimmy thing, I guess I can understand it. Whereas, like desperation for the Warriors, I guess. I mean, sure, maybe it'll make them better. I don't really think so. Well, remains to be seen. The one trade I do not understand is the Brandon Ingram one. Why? Like, what is the point of that? Just so they can get a star? Because he went to the Raptors, right?
Yeah. He went to the Raptors, and I'm still trying to figure that one out myself. The Lonzo Ball deal, you know, I know it's been a great culture story. It's been a great story. as far as him coming back, but how much does he really give you as a 7-point game backup point guard? But okay, if you want to give him 20 mil, all right, okay, it is what it is. Yeah, there's some puzzling moves that I've seen so far been made this NBA trade deadline, but yeah, the Golden State one is, and the Toronto ones are really the ones hardest for me to figure out there, Henry.
Yeah, me too. And then also one minor trade, Jonas to the Kings. I don't understand one either. Kings are just a horrible organization. But I'll let the boys talk. I'll mute myself. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No, always good. Before I bring Jamie on, I wanted to go ahead and hear your thoughts, Joe, on this Jimmy Butler trade. Again, I called it desperate. I don't think Legend, who is our Warriors expert in the chat, will probably disagree with me on that. Your thoughts, though, on the Jimmy Butler trade as the account. Do you think this is a reactionary move to what the Lakers did, Joe?
No, it has nothing to do with the Lakers. And Toronto's acquisition of Brandon Ingram was, we're tired of losing, and this guy will help us win more. That's really all that deal was. At some point, I'd like to think someone who's probably competitive. Masai might be a lot of things, but I'm assuming he's probably a competitive guy, and constantly losing doesn't help. So maybe he thinks.
Yay! A
Thank
subscriber.
you, June, for subscribing. By the way,
You.
there are a lot of tornadoes. Brandon Ingram going to Toronto, I believe, has to do with winning. They want to win. The East is it's a weird conference. You know, you think they're going to come up every year, and they do in spurts, and then all of a sudden you start seeing certain play, and you're like, is it still too top heavy? Is it really only one team? Is it really only two teams? So when you have that kind of inconsistency, you're going to have a chance to compete, especially with Adam Silver's 15-team playoff, chance now with the way it's structured. The Jimmy Butler thing is simply Golden State is just toast. See, at least the Lakers had Anthony Davis. I'm sure that if Golden State had a prime Draymond Green, even though a prime Draymond Green is nowhere near an AD, they would have been able to fetch something back that would have been able to help Steph Curry. But they didn't have that. They just don't have anything to send out, and their draft picks are somewhat marginal.
Mhm.
This is pretty much the best deal they can do, and they have to pay somebody, so they're going to pay Jimmy and cross their fingers, hope that they can get in the playoffs. And again, Toronto, going back to the Toronto thing, you also want to, try to get some playoff games in the system here, because you get a lot of money in that business, and that's important. Money is important for the gate. It still is for a lot of these guys, and that will help instead of just not making the playoffs and hoping for a bouncing ball to give you a player that eventually will end up being a Laker anyways. It's hard. It's just disheartening that that's how it usually ends up. I said that for Jamie because I knew he'd get a kick out of it. So yeah, I truly believe that both teams, in terms of the Brandon Ingram going to Toronto and Jimmy Buckets going to the State, are simply about winning. They want to win a little bit more than they have. And how it plays out, I'm going to say maybe the best chance for Golden State is they're going to make the play-in. Maybe they can get into the playoffs if they get lucky and win a play-in game. And then Toronto, look at it as maybe they can get a 7 or 8 seed. I don't know about this year, whatever happens this year, but maybe next year and the year following, maybe they could be perennial 7, 8 seed type players or some type teams.
Also here today, good man indeed. It is, of course, one big part of the Lakerholics crew, the guy who hosts the Lakerholics on the weekend, the guy who tries to keep them all together before Laker Tom pisses them all off. It is, of course, Jamie Sweet. Jamie, great to have you here. I don't know if we'll have Laker Tom again today. He's probably on cloud 9 because of all the trades, so I don't think he has to go ahead and go red-faced.
This hit thing, though, the trade deadline stuff, he should be here.
I know.
He should be here. He has the email, so I'm hoping I can go. I'll probably text it again for the Lakerholics crew just one more time, see if they'll do it. But Jamie, good to have you here, my friend. Good morning. Your thoughts? It's been a whirlwind of a trade deadline for the Lakers. Where do you think they stand heading into the latter half of the season?
Better in
Okay.
in every sense of the word. Better. I mean, I think as we've all said multiple times, you make that Luka trade 10 out of 10 times, twice on Sunday. Like you just don't not make that deal. You don't not trade. That's not besmirching Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a top 5 two-way player, maybe the best two-way player in the NBA. He's not Luka Doncic. Some people have issues with his weight. They're kind of, I think, forgetting that he's always played heavy. He uses his weight to create space a lot. I agree that it has a negative impact on his conditioning overall, but I don't think he's like a slobby, fat player. Like, he's no Charles Barkley. Let's put it that way. The Lakers are better. I'm having a bit of a harder time. I'm actually writing 5 things right now, and I'm going to have to hop off in about 30 minutes because I got to get fish tickets. But other than that, I might be back after. But the Mark Williams trade is a rough one for me, not because of his youth or skill level or anything like that, just because he's hurt all the time, and I don't like trading for guys that are hurt all the time. I think that's an issue, and to be honest, if I'm being absolutely honest, I don't see a huge. I understand that Mark Williams is better at it, but I don't see a huge difference between him and Hayes. So I'm a little bit like, we traded a cheap 3-point shooter for an oft-injured big man who's better than our currently not injured big man. I mean, Hayes is available all the time. He's never hurt or rarely hurt. So I'm a little bit – I mean, I think this move was made to appease Luka, to make Luka feel like you're in the club, man. Like, we're talking to you about moves. We're doing the things we do with our superstars. We want to show you that we're working for you in good faith, yada, yada, yada. I really, really, really don't generally like trading shooting for non-shooting or size for very small players. And Connect's got a bright future in the league. I do think for this season, you have to make that trade for Williams, because we had, one way or another, we had a hole at the center position. Hayes is a fine backup. He's not a starter. Williams is a starter. It is an upgrade. It's hard I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this one. It was a move that had to be done. But the Lakers are better in every sense of the word. We're better equipped to play a high level of basketball in the playoffs. We're better equipped to play, to rest LeBron a little more during the regular season, rest Luka a little bit in the regular season. Div X-ray, whatever that. I don't know, Ty Church. Ty Church, you say this as if the Lakers hadn't done a who's who of modern 3-point shooters over the last 6 years. We've auditioned many quote unquote lasers on the Lakers, and they don't show up in crypto. They just somehow forget how to shoot when they put on that purple and gold uniform and shoot 30% from 3. So that's one of the reasons that I was high on at first on Connect. And that's not lie. I think if Connect had been playing like he had played in November all season long, this trade doesn't get made. He had a significant drop off since the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks of the season. And that didn't seem like he was shooting his way out of it. So I think, that also plays a part. You don't know, did you get November Dalton Connect? Or did you get the rest of the season to this point Dalton Connect, who hasn't really been able to, like recapture that magic that he had in
Also,
November.
he is atrocious on defense too. So
Sure, but Mark Williams can only dunk. This is what I mean. There's. I'm not trying to say. I think like I said, I think you have to make the Mark Williams trade based solely on the roster construction and the lack of centers that we had at the time. And there's not a great big man. I mean, the Morris brothers are toast. Nobody's expecting anything out of the Morris brothers, right? Either one, Keith or I think we have the better one. I can't remember which one is the better one. I always forget which one is the quote unquote better one. But it doesn't matter. They're like 500 years old. They're they're playoff foul guys. If, I want you to go in there and knock that guy down. Great. I'm doing it, coach. Like that's their role at this point. And anyway, at any rate, my point is this: is that it's hard to know. It's hard. That trade is going to be a hard trade to grade this season, and I think that trade in a couple of years, we'll see where Dalton Knecht gets, and we'll see what Mark Williams gets. But I mean, the Lakers are better. There's just no way to. There's no other way to put it, and I'm stoked.
A subscriber. Thank you, Tom Kick, for becoming a subscriber. Truly appreciate it. Henry, let me bring it to you because I spoke to Joe a little bit about this. According to Brett Siegel, the Lakers reportedly first offered for Jalen Duren before going to Mark Williams. Jalen Duren, a little bit stronger, a little shorter, but still, very talented, athletic big in Detroit. Your thoughts, my friend? Would that have been a better way to go? But looks like whatever Rob offered obviously wasn't taken by Detroit. Your thoughts? Stone Hansen is on his Twitter saying that he would have liked Duren over Williams. I know that Williams is obviously a little bit more fragile, especially based off what we've seen in 3 seasons. But your thoughts? Would Duren have been the better move?
Potentially, yes. I think the overall bigger picture, Jamie hits the nail in the head right there. Looks like they're listening to what Luka has said. Get me an athletic big, someone that could be a lob threat, someone that could play the pick and roll with me, a rebound chaser, a rim protector, and I'll make them better. So for me, it's either or. The main point is that they are listening to Luka. Rob spoke to him. Jamie said it. They went out and got someone rather than a slow-footed center like Jonas Valanciunas or something like that. And
which I want to say thank you for not getting.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you.
So for me, it's either or. I believe that Luka will elevate either one. It really just depends. We don't know the full package, as you said, Gerald, what was offered for the Duren trade. So that also is there too. And I think the picks, we have to realize now, guys, now that we did have Luka within the last few days, it's not as valuable as it used to be. So I'm ready to play ball. I mean, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait. Saturday, Monday, when does he make? Whenever it looks like it's gonna be either Saturday or Monday, he makes his debut. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's see how this team goes. I'm not sure if there's gonna be any more moves. If there is, maybe some small moves. But I think they kept the core intact. They kept the rotation intact. They didn't have to give up Rui and Gabe to get like a Nick Claxton or anything like that, which I wasn't high on anyways. Let's just get the ball rolling. Let's see where we go. We're a few games out of the 3rd seed. I like this team.
So again, with the trade deadline still counting down, and once again, it's Henry Hill, Joe Soro, Jamie Sweet, myself, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again to the almost 100 people that are watching right now. It is the Lakers Fast Break. If you like what you see, we're here over 300 days a year. Please like and subscribe. Joe, can I ask you this? Mark Williams, you talked about it in the chat. Again, I think that his career will only be enhanced playing off of LeBron and Luka because he's only had limited time that he's been able to play with LaMelo in Charlotte for someone who could help facilitate his game. I understand that he's can be a little bit one-dimensional. He's not going to stretch the floor, but he is someone, again, with his standing reach of 9 foot 9 inches, which is the longest in the NBA. He'll have long arms. He may be able to go ahead and extend quite a bit for lobs. And I think, Joe, again, if you get him into the right format and the right platform, he could really grow and advance. And we saw little glimpses of that before he headed away from Charlotte.
I tend to agree with BTS in terms of, I don't know if it's for sure, but it does make sense that maybe Detroit was asking for someone besides Knecht, maybe Austin Reeves. And you can't do that. There's too much chemistry there with Reeves. Same thing with Rui. And I know we didn't say this a month ago, but you also, and definitely not Gabe Vincent, but what has happened since then is there has been a renaissance by Gabe Vincent and Rui and Austin Reeves have, and maybe, and see, this is the other problem, and I don't want to keep harping back to mistakes we made about Rob Pelinka and all that. Look, Rob made mistakes that he will always have to own up to. He screwed up. That 2022 setup was a bad deal. My issue is I made it sound personal too much, and a lot of it maybe is personal. I don't know, but I wanted to get that out of the way. It wasn't personal. It sounded personal, and it doesn't matter what I say. It's always going to sound that way, and I was pretty brutal about it. But that's gone. Okay? I've said what I said. It's over. He made mistakes. There's still bad mistakes, but just like on a play when someone turns the ball over or misses a dumb shot, if you make up for it, that's part of this whole sports thing. You got to be able to come back. You got to have a short memory, whatever, all those cliches. So this last few days, weeks, and we'll use your topic as an example. So Duran would have been definitely a guy that would work. I think Williams is more athletic and has a higher ceiling than in terms of actual, like, what Luka would want, being able to get to the basket, jump over the rim, drop a lot of points, whereas Duran's more of like a beast, like a bully, kind of Charles Oakley type. Oh, man, that guy is shredded. So he would have been popular in LA. People would have been like, who the hell is this guy? He's just got like, 10% body fat, right? I do believe that they were asking probably for Austin in most of those deals, whether it was that, whether it was Robert Williams, whether it was obviously Kessler, or at least more draft capital from Utah. And I was only looking at the date here yesterday. Apparently, he just turned 23 in December. This guy has room to grow, guys, and he's got 2 years. I know he's got an extension that can go in the summer, but the Lakers don't have to extend him. They have 2 years on this short little window of pay. Hey, if they want to take advantage of it, let's see what happens, because now, with the way the CBA is, the aprons dictate so much now, how you can get a buyout or how you can't get a buyout. Can you give a full MLE or can you not? These are all going to play into how you prepare for also now the future, because we also have to understand that if the Lakers don't win it this year, it's okay, guys. It is okay. It's more going to be about probably next year. Next year is when they're probably really going to have to kind of come through. But,
Also, an underrated aspect of this with Mark Williams. Did you guys know he shoots 79% from the free throw line?
Yeah. That's the Claxton buster right there. So Claxton would have been a good pickup. The problem is not having a reliable guy hitting free throws, and we already have that problem with AD late in games. I know we are not going to give the ball to Mark Williams at the end of games, but with the way the NBA is, he might find himself getting the ball, and at least we know now he's probably going to at least hit 1 of 2, not 0 of 2 at the very least. So yeah, that's a good point.
And I mentioned before, Joe, that he has in a playoff game gone 0 for 10 from the free throw line. So that's not exactly the greatest thing you want to hang your head on right there if you're next Nick Claxton. But yeah, I'm glad that they steered away from him. I didn't like his lower body. He's too thin down low. I really think if you're asking him to go ahead and guard Jokic, I think Jokic would swallow him alive. And then, just like you said, the issues with the free throws. So Mark is a little bit of a bigger body. Again, there's no perfect player that's going to be able to guard Jokic. I mean, Zubats, we've seen Zubats in recent weeks be able to dominate Wembanyama, but also as well be able to hold a little bit against Jokic. But even with his size, can't. There's just no one that's going to be able to singly guard Jokic.
I mean,
so
he's
you're
the
kidding
best
yourself
player
if
in
you think
NBA.
that one person.
Yeah, exactly. And with Claxton, guys, one aspect of, forget about the basketball player, the contract, he's 27 million this year. I felt like if you did trade for him, you're getting rid of a Rui and a Gabe, which matches, right? But then you're creating another problem. So I think they got the best with what they could. I mean, it sucks to give up a shooter like Connect. He's promising, but they needed a big man.
And that's what you got to do. You got to give up something in order to get something. And again, the Lakers coming out of this with a center for the future and a player, a star for the future. So, Jamie, again, what are the people at Lakerholic saying? What is Michael? What is Laker Tom saying? I don't know if Laker Tom is going to join us. I put the call out for him. Maybe he's just too much in a euphoric state. I guess he can't go off on Rob Pelinka this year. So maybe he probably won't. Maybe he won't join us. But what's the word at Lakerholics.com? And Joe, I'm going to ask you the same thing about LakersBall.com. What's the word amongst these groups that we often refer to on the show?
I mean, I think everybody kind of went through the same stages for this trade. First, it was shock. Nope, because and I said this on our Saturday and our Sunday show. This is why, and I will say this for forever. This is why I pay almost zero attention to mass media. This is why I don't care what the insiders say. This is why I don't pay attention to ESPN or Twitter X, Blue Sky, whatever you call your whatever. It's not important. It's not real. It doesn't matter. Shut it off. Walk away. You'll save your soul. I guarantee you. Same with Spotify. These people don't know. Nobody knew this was coming because this is how business is done. And this is, I think, the best part about the Rob Pelinka front office is that it's not the Magic Johnson front office. The bellboy at the Luxor would have known about this trade if Magic Johnson was the GM. The guy who shined shoes outside of Staples Center would have known about this trade if Magic was the GM. The entire planet would have known about this trade before it happened if Magic was the GM. This is what I like about Rob Pelinka and what I have always liked about Rob Pelinka. He keeps it in the house. He keeps the lid on it. Nobody knew the Westbrook trade was going to go down. There was no, Lakers, like nobody knows. So you don't need to listen. You can reduce the stress in your life by tuning them out because they don't know and they don't matter. That's my number one thing. Looking at, I'm on Lakerholics.com just to answer your questions. Laker Tom is posting there. Let's see. Last post was about an hour and 45 minutes ago. He's got Lakers' potential starting lineup as being Luka, Reeves, DFS, LeBron, and Williams. I think I would switch DFS for Vando and start Vando at the 2 and not put Luka in the position of trying to guard 2s, 1s and 2s, because in that lineup, Dorian Finney-Smith or LeBron is the small forward, I guess. And I think with LeBron and Luka, and Reeves, who gets picked on, I think that's a little bit too slow a foot, too bulky of player starting 5. The other one is got Hayes in the start. Oh, it had Hayes until the until 5 minutes after he posted it. Yeah, Hayes in there, and then he switched to Williams because nobody knows what's going on. Yeah. Laker Tom's probably riding the trade dragon today. He might not be able to, nobody saw this one coming out of the Mark Williams trade. And this is what I have to say. Like, I can't say this enough. I hate clickbait. I truly, with a passion, hate clickbait in all things. News, sporting news, gardening. I hate it. It's the worst. It's just a soul sucker. It sucks the soul. Like, those monsters you see, though, from like Harry Potter or whatever movie about the thing that eats your brain. Anyway, point being, I will say this. Laker Tom was devastated that the Bulls agreed to that 2-year extension with Lonzo Ball. He's still bummed about it. I can't. I just can't.
You have to add that monster sound to the soundboard.
Yeah.
What he just did.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
No, but there's a way to add sounds. I'll look into it, Gerald. But I'll look into it. We should customize the reaction board because some of them take way too long to finish. Like you start the applause and everybody just sit there while you wait for it to end.
applause. So there.
But anyway, nobody's. That's the thing. Nobody saw this coming. But I don't think anybody on the blog, nobody I've talked to, doesn't make the trade for Luka. Not one person on the planet. You don't not trade for a 25-year-old generational talent. It's like you just don't do it. You have to make that deal every time, and so that's the. I mean, and the other thing that's on the blog is there's a lot of people expressing appreciation for AD, and it's funny how much people will express appreciation for somebody who has taken a lot of heat. AD took a lot of heat as a Laker for his availability, for not showing up. But I posted about 3 days before the trade happened, when we had lost to Philly, that you can't build around a player like AD. Once LeBron retires, there's going to be a big problem. You don't build around two-way players who don't demand the ball, who don't command the basketball for the majority of a possession, because there's just too much of a question mark on offense after that. And I don't know that Reeves is ever going to be good enough to command that kind of attention. So I think that
I don't think so. I think what Reeves.
I agree.
Anything we get from Reeves is house money. He's undrafted.
Right. But I mean, I would say that he's a perfect starting. Some people like to knock him for not being a starting shooting guard on a playoff quality team. And I kind of tend to disagree with that. I look at him as like a less defensive, more offensive version of Contavious Caldwell-Pope. And that, like, if you look at KCP, all he does, he plays great defense, and he sometimes it can get on a hot streak and shoot the ball really well. Typically performs well in the playoffs, and that's admirable. But like, he's also good for one turnover a half at best. Like, he's good for one boneheaded pass to the opposition per half. And that's if you get out with just two, you're lucky to be alive. So there's no perfect player. Luka's not a perfect player. He's got weight issues. He's never gonna be a top 5 defender at his position, and that's fine. He does so many other things great. And so I mean, Austin Reeves is either a great 6 man if we can get a better guard, or he's a great glue guard. We saw that all the way up until we let D'Lo go. He was perfectly fine at moving the possession, moving the ball, making the offense work, and he's working on his defense, which is the most you can ever ask for anybody. So I like that starting 5 with Vando. I don't know that I love the starting 5 with DFS. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see where this lands come the playoffs.
Austin is also on one of the most valuable contracts in the NBA right now.
It's so cheap, given his production. It's so cheap. And same with Rui, frankly. Rui's shooting 40% from 3 and can guard 3 through 5. Not every single 5. He can't guard Embiid, not really. He can't guard Jokic, not really. But any small ball center he can handle. My only knock with Hachimura is that he's not a great rebounder, but he's a good cutter. He's great at opening up offense without needing the ball. He's a great off the ball player, and you need a guy like that with Luka, and you need a guy like that with LeBron. So it's hard for me to see a trade that involves Rui Hachimura that doesn't make the team weaker in some regard, or at least is just a basic lateral move.
He's a role player. I mean,
he's an elite role player. You could argue he's a little overpaid for being an elite role player, but not really. 20 mil is like the ceiling.
I mean, Lonzo Ball's getting 20 mil, so
yeah, exactly.
Like,
let me go ahead and bring.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Jamie. So Jamie has his thoughts. Again, I'm not in love with Vando offensively.
Oh, you're not in love with 5-0 with Vando? Oh, that's cool, Jim. That's fine.
I'm not. Well, watch him try to shoot a 3 and watch him try to make a layup, and then you'll realize why. But giving you energy off the bench, that's something I think would be okay for Vando. But yeah, the Lakers right there. That's what ESPN is posting right there in their studio. You see it right there as far as their projected starting lineup. Henry, do you have something different? Do you agree with Jamie on that as far as putting Vando in the starting lineup? What did you have in mind?
no, I don't have Vando in the starting lineup. Sorry, Jamie.
Oh,
That's
the beauty of opinions, man. We all got it.
I would prefer the one on the screen, but Do you want what I think, or do you want me to tell you
Yeah,
what?
how much would you think? How would you deviate it in some way? Because they have Reeves, Finney Smith, Williams,
Mhm.
James, and Doncic.
I would prefer, if I was the coach, this lineup. But with politics involved, it's still going to be Rui instead of Finney Smith.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Okay.
I think
All right.
that makes bench kind of a hole on offense, but yeah, I think that's probably true.
Joe, do you concur? Or that's the best. What is your starting lineup, Joe? What do you have?
I'd like to see it at some point taking advantage of matchups. That includes starting the game with a certain lineup and then bringing in the bench and then matching a particular team's team. By having Rui and Austin come off the bench, you now have two guys that have been starting a lot of games playing against bench guys. You're going to have an advantage there when the guys sit. So that's something to think about. We'll have to see how the chemistry works with everyone. We don't really know how it's going to work. Austin's not a setup 3-point shooter, which is why I was initially thinking Gabe would be better at the 2 with this particular lineup. Dorian Finney-Smith is very fluid in terms of being able to guard the 1 through 5. You had just said that Rui's good at guarding, let's say, 3 to 5. Well, I'd rather have somebody that can guard 1 through 5 if we can. And DFS has been hitting that 3. So it's just going to be a matter of, I think, matchups. I think that's what's going to dictate how and what and which chemistry, which flow. Because you guys, we can't really, when we talk about, let's say, a player like Mark Williams and whomever comes here between now and 12 o'clock our time, they're going to be enhanced by Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic made 3 players last year, 3 big guys, look better than they ever have in their careers. BJ Washington, Gafford, and obviously Derek Lively, who was a first pick rookie. But we were talking about Lively like he was been in the league for years. They got exposed in the finals, and see, that's the thing, guys. See, the deeper you get into the playoffs, the harder it's not a cliche. It really does get harder. Why? Same reason why if you watch baseball, why they're going to manage the pitchers, they're going to manage the bullpen, they're going to manage the lineups much more strict than they would in the regular season. That's why Vando disappeared 2 years ago in the playoffs. That's why the Lakers continue to have players that just can't even remotely give anything. Guys like Jackson Hayes, who was non-existent in the playoffs because there's just too much attention to detail, especially with a team that's only focused on one team for about a week and a half. The Lakers, what they've done is they have kind of busted that issue that they've had the last 2 years. They don't have to worry about, oh, are we going to have to worry about this player or are we going to have to worry about this player? Connect and his defense would have been exposed in the playoffs. And you had to
Easy.
give up something to get Mark Williams. You couldn't just give them Reddish and Christian Wood. That's not going to work. You have to give up something. They gave up possibly a guy that could be a clone of in my view, I think he's going to be a Bogdan Bogdanovic type player in the end. I think that's his ceiling. And I think that's a hell of a ceiling to beat. That's a $20-25 million a year player, right?
Yeah, and if he stays healthy,
And if he stays
that's a
healthy,
good
yes, I
career.
believe that. But
Yeah.
Mark Williams is the player that's going to be needed with someone who's driving the vehicle like Luka. And he's 23. He's younger than Connect. And he's been in the league longer. He just turned 23, guys. This guy could be the future with Luka for the next 5 to 6,
Yeah.
7 years if he comes through this year. So
It
that's
matches the timelines.
yeah, the timelines are there. It's the systematic decision making alone in this whole thing, because you can't say the Luka trade was some stroke of genius. Really, it had to have been offered to him. I believe it had to have been offered to Rob. It wasn't something where he said, "Hey, will give me Luka. I just don't. That's one thing I refuse to believe. There's no way anyone would have ever imagined that AD could fetch Luka. So it had to be Nico Harrison saying, "Listen, I want this, I want this, I want this. But what if I include Luka? What? Really? All right. Shh. Don't tell anyone. Let's really sit down and let's talk about this. You're my boy. We've been working together for years. Kobe's our guy. How did it not turn out like that, guys? It had to have been like that. Not in those words, but that's how it happened.
It's the type where your boy says something, you're like, are you serious?
Yeah, so just imagine. You guys got to put yourselves in the position. Let's say you have a best friend. Or no, a friend at work that you really respect. Let's not say best friend. A friend that you really respect at work. Kind of like how we have you. Like, I really respect Gerald, Sean, Henry, Jamie. Like, I respect these guys. So if one of those guys came to me and said, Joe, what if we could get what's her name? The one that's going out with Shams, or was.
Kay Adams.
Kay Adams. I'd be like, what? Hey, don't tell anybody. She doesn't want anybody to know. We don't need to tell anybody. We can get Kay Adams on the show.
Keep it on the down low.
What? Okay, what? What do we got to do? What? And what it would take, Joe. Well, you're going to get less, time. You're going to be more of the guy that's catering to her. And I'd be like, yeah, I can definitely cater to Kay Adams. That wouldn't be a problem. So the point is, that's how that relationship likely went. And when it got done, and a lot of people are now coming out, guys, you gotta open your peripherals a little bit. You can't look straight at this point. People are like, well, why did they give this for this and this for that? Guys, after Saturday, the world changed in terms of those draft picks. That draft pick in 29 and 31 are really not that important after Saturday, because you have Luka Doncic that's going to be, let's see here, in 29, he's going to be in 29. Yeah. And then in 31, he's going to be 31. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about all of a sudden relinquishing a lottery pick at that time. It could happen. Luka could have a catastrophic situation. LeBron could also. All things could go to hell. But I'm telling you right now, even if that stuff happens, that's something that is in no one's control. That's just freak luck, bad luck, whatever luck you want to call it. But the fact that this got executed is astronomically crazy.
Yeah.
We're talking about a 25-year-old could be a top 10 greatest of all time type player. Now that always makes me irk a little bit. When I hear top 10, they talk about it with Steph Curry. They talk about it with Kevin Durant. Dude, if you guys really look at the top 10 of NBA basketball players, I don't even know how anybody gets to 15, honestly. I've watched 80% of those guys that would be in that category. So, but I'm saying that at least the discussion would be there, because that's how Luka. Dude, LeBron wasn't even on the first 5 of 6 first team All NBA.
All-Star team. All
NBA
first
teams.
team All-Pro.
Even LeBron wasn't even like that. Luka, I don't know if people really understand how good Luka is in Laker area, or in general. Like people who watch basketball but don't really understand what's about to come. I don't think they really
Gerald,
realize.
what is your ideal starting lineup? You asked us.
Thank you. That's a good. I appreciate you bringing it back to me. Obviously, with Doncic, LeBron, you want to put Williams alongside of it for the size. I think I would put DFS and Rui Hashimura in there. As far as I'm concerned, I would have Austin Reeves coming off the bench personally at this point in time. His defense, because like you said, he just gets picked on way too much, and it's sad because again, he's averaging 18 and 6. It's sad because Joe and I have always thought of him as the best thing on a championship team to come off the bench, because he is playing for that next contract. he is 1 year away from him seriously thinking about where he's going to be or where he's going to go or if he's going to stay because he'll
Mhm.
be a free agent after next season. So he has to start thinking about his future. And then all of a sudden, Luka Doncic falls on our lap. And of course, we got to go ahead after him. We get him. And now things are totally changed because, again, he duplicates a lot of things LeBron and Luka Doncic already do. So having all three of them out there at the same time, I'm not sure if it's going to work unless the fact that, again, he's going to be able to be a really good spot up shooter. He has improved this year over the course of the past couple months in his 3-point shooting. It's about, I think, up right around 37%. It's been his highest of the season. And I always talked about him if he could ever get it from 37 to 40. I think that's a big improvement in his game if that's the case. I just don't know his defensive lapses, his defensive ability or lack thereof is a big problem. And the fact that, again, we've seen it time over time, he was picked on. Now, some of that, Henry, as far as the increase in that, was because he was handed the point guard position after D'Lo was traded away. And so much was put on his plate. You can see defensively, it just, he just had to give up something and it gave up defensively. Now, he wasn't a good defender to begin with. He did about his best job as he could when he was playing against Murray in the playoffs, because you saw Murray really struggle for the most part outside of those game winners. But again, teams are still going to go at him. And I think if you
Yeah,
put him in the starting lineup with those guys, I think it's just going to be really problematic. And I know that every analyst I've heard, every podcast I've heard since then has talked about, oh, defense is still the issue, shooting is still the issue. I think if you have DFS in there who's played pretty good since he's come over from Brooklyn, again, I would like to see him be able to score a little bit more because if he just stays around 10 points a game, I don't know how much of a threat the other team sees him as, but he has shot well from behind the arc since joining. One of those, as you say, Henry and Joe agree with you, and I agree with you. They put the Lakers jersey on there. 3-point percentage seems to go down. In his case, it seems to be right where it was at when they traded for him. So that's a good
that's
sign
good.
for Lakers
That's a
fans.
huge sign. Yeah.
And, he is going to be turning 32 pretty soon. I understand Joe thinks that's still, okay and young. But again, his skills right now, maximize his skills by keeping him in that lineup, unless the Lakers find something a little bit more convenient here in the next couple hours, which I don't think they will. But I want to be surprised again and hopefully pleasantly surprised. But that's where I go with their starting lineup, and that's where I think they
Fair
probably
enough.
work out best. But again, we'll have to wait to see. Egos, as you said, Henry, come into play in all this. Politics come into play in all this. And to tell Austin you're going to go back to the bench, I think it's going to be a really hard call for JJ in his rookie season, and we'll see if it happens. Because remember, he was a vet, just like they were for
Yeah.
so many years, and to be told he had to go back to the bench after being a starter, that's one of the hardest things to do in the NBA is going back and understanding what role it is that you want to play other than the one that you think you can do best for the team or for yourself going forward. So yeah, I think at this point in time, that's probably what I would do as my starting five is DFS, Doncic, Rui Hashimura, LeBron, and Mark Williams. But again, if you guys have thoughts in the chat, please let us know. I mean, my gosh, 162 people here. Thank you so much for joining us. It is the Lakers Fast Break. We're here for the NBA trade deadline special. We're going to make sure we post all the moves that are going on right now. We've got responses from England, Ghana. Oh, it's everybody out there overseas and also domestically here in the U.S. Thank you so much for being a part of what we do. But Henry, while I
Yes,
check
sir.
on what's going on, if on the trade deadline, if there's any moves that have been made, I want to go ahead and check on that and update here in a second. But Henry, I mean, the Austin Reeves conundrum, I think it might be a little bit of a problem because again, we all see him as a fit somewhere other than probably where he'd like to be at this stage of his career.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, I personally think it would enhance his offensive game playing alongside Luca and LeBron because ever since they got rid of D'Lo, he's been the focal point of the other team's point of attack defenders. So I think definitely this will help his offensive game. But we all know he has the defensive struggles on the other end. I just think there's no way in hell you can move him to the bench at this point. Just too much politics. The team is rolling. You got to go with it. I think lineup changes, guys, will most likely happen, as Joe says, playoff time, dependent on matchups. That's usually where politics gets put to the side. You're 16 wins away from a championship, and you just do it for the greater good. Come off the bench, play whatever role you need to. I think for the regular season, though, you try to keep the locker room intact, locked in, bought in, especially for a rookie coach. I think that's super important this year for him to have the stars back him and to have the rest of the role players bought in as well. And then when it comes to playoff times, everyone is going to strategize together. So that's when lineup changes. I think you'll see DFS inserted, perhaps Austin off the bench, just depending on who they're playing.
Yay! A subscriber. Thank you, Garth, for subscribing. Carrie has a great question for us, and I'm going to hit you up this sec, Joe. Let me hit you first with this, Henry. What is the ideal scenario for you for the Lakers for the last 2 hours of deadline, given the amount So let me hear your thoughts on that.
That's a good question. Ideal, if they can get some sort of two guard defender type archetype. I don't know who that would be and with what draft capital, but that would be the ideal scenario for me.
Yay!
But I think this is going to be the team.
Thank you, David.
This is going to be the team that they have.
Absolutely. No, I think I agree with you. Yay, I don't know how much. A subscriber. Thank you, Hustleman, for subscribing as well. Truly appreciate it. You're killing Joe. Yeah, I have it programmed in there. Joe has one. I do one with Joe as well, where he goes, "Oh, subscriber, cool."
Yeah, I love that one.
I'm gonna have to actually ask Magic to re-record.
I like the yay, a subscriber.
Yes. So, I do appreciate everyone out there subscribing. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. We're on over 300 days a year talking the Lakers in the NBA. Joe, Carrie did bring out a good question. What is the ideal scenario for the next 2 hours, Joe?
Ideal scenario, if I had to pick, is somehow Rob trading Kleber for something of substance. It's going to be difficult because they can't attach anything to it. So I believe he'd need to get a favor from someone to get maybe a rotational player for him and tell the GM, listen, I'll get you on the next one. I'll broker something.
Davion Mitchell, I agree with JP. Davion Mitchell as a defender on the perimeter would have been nice because he can't shoot very well, but he can defend, which is something the Lakers.
Look at his contract real quick. I'll tell you if we can give Kleber for him.
Kleber's what? 11.5? I think
11.
Yeah. Yeah.
Davion is right now.
Well, Davion got traded. He just got traded to Miami.
Oh, he did. So, okay, he's at 6.5. So.
Yeah, he got traded to Miami earlier this morning, so that's a good pickup. Miami is going all in on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, a defensive-minded perimeter player would probably be somewhere I lean. Plus, if they had the chance, something to shore up even more on the back end as far as the front line, one more piece, one more body, because if you're worried about Mark Williams' health and whatnot. But again,
would you
it's
do
been
that
a great
in
trade.
the comments right there? Kleber plus additional. I would definitely not do this, but I'm just trying to see if you guys would. Kleber, I think I know your guys' answer, but Kleber plus stuff for Bruce Brown. Absolutely not. The only way I will accept Bruce Brown on this team is if he is bought out and he's going to come here for nickels and dimes. I'm not trading any asset for him.
Well, the money doesn't work, and you can't attach Kleber to anything. Kleber's only 11, but you can't attach him to anything, and Brown's 23 on expiring. Brown, again, I know that Brown's name has been mentioned in our chat hundreds of times, Joe, over the past 3-4 weeks. Again, this is not the Bruce Brown that we saw highlighting in the finals 2 seasons ago. He is not the same player. He came back from an injury. He started to play okay. I will give him that. But yeah, I just don't think that at this point in time it's the Bruce Brown everybody can get or see. I do know that if he gets bought out, wherever he got traded to, because he did go in the New Orleans trade from New Orleans to Toronto to New Orleans, so he's in New Orleans. He will most likely get bought out if he isn't traded. But the Lakers can't even get him because under the CBA, they can only get a buyout player if he's under 15 mils. So unfortunately,
Yes.
I don't think
Yeah.
Why would
Bruce
you
Brown
buy
will be
out
joining.
Bruce Brown?
If you're New Orleans, because he's on an expiring, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. They probably just keep him. But
I don't think
if
they're
they
gonna
can't
buy him
move
out,
him.
no. I think
Well, no,
they're
If
gonna-
they
you're
can't move
still
him.
New Orleans. You're still getting the 22 million plus expiring off
books.
your books.
Yeah.
But you're just the only thing that you send him to away. He signs with a
somebody would
contender
pay
for $1
to
million.
get him. I believe. If not, then you keep him. I
I
wouldn't buy him
guess
out.
an ideal next 2 hours for me would be a way to get below the first apron if there is a way. So
Mhm.
should there be any buyout candidates that they can have all of the candidates available to them rather than the ones that are above the 15 million contract threshold.
Mhm. Absolutely. And then Milwaukee just made a trade earlier this morning with
What's up,
Patrick
CJ?
Baldwin. Yeah, and that's basically for cap relief. So Milwaukee's now under the second tax apron. They've kind of cleared it by the skin of their teeth with the Kuzma trade yesterday, but they cleared even more. There's only a couple teams now, Joe, that are in that second tax apron hell, and one of them is Boston. And if you're Boston, again, we talked about you're going all in. You got a team that's capable of winning a championship. It's going to get even more expensive next season. But hey, when you've got a championship team, that's what you do. In the case of Phoenix, however, that has not quite gone so well, has it, Joe?
No, giving the no trade clause to Beal was the biggest. I think Washington gave it to him. Sorry, it was Washington who gave it to him.
Yes.
In that contract is much like how Westbrook ended the AD LeBron era, and it ended any chance of Durant being able to compete for a championship. It's almost
Were
like
you surprised that he
worse.
said no?
It's
to going
actually
to
worse
Golden
because
State?
they can't get off it.
They can't do anything.
They can't do
He
anything.
runs the show. He runs the show there.
So
Were
I
you
like it
surprised
right here in
Gerald is
Phoenix.
asking that he said no to Golden State? I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised about that.
You're not surprised? Are you surprised,
Nah.
Joe, that he said no to Golden State? Kevin
Beal?
Durant?
Oh, Kevin
No,
Durant?
Durant.
No, I'm not surprised because Draymond Green's there,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want to go over there if he's there either.
But let me bring up one more time something that you
Guys,
brought.
I have to jump off for work, but appreciate you guys' time.
Good to see you.
No
I-
worries. Thank you, Henry.
I will be back.
Your beard looks great, by
hopefully.
the way.
Thanks, guys. But I will leave with this, man. It's exciting times, guys. It's exciting times. I'm very optimistic about this team. You guys are going to catch me on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break talking crazy. I'll see you
Good
guys
deal.
later.
Looking forward to it, Henry. Have a good day, brother.
Thank you, Henry. Appreciate it. Henry Hill, truly part of what we do on our playback. No, Dave makes too much. I think he makes 13 million. Dave, as far as I'm concerned, and so basically, what would happen is Utah would keep his salary, the 13 million. If let's say he gets bought out, whatever team that signs him would only sign him to a minimum contract prorated, which would be about $1 million, $1.5 million. So that is the only thing they'll be obligated for. Utah will still be obligated for everything but that $1 million, $1.5 million for whatever he signs for with that other team. But if it's under 15 million, which I think Schroeder is under 15 million. Did we talk about that last night? I think we did. I think we talked about how he is, I think, 13 million, Joe? Let me go ahead and check.
Let me check here real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to check right now.
Golden
Sport
State.
Track.
Did they already
Sport Track
update? I think they updated what I have here. So he's in
he's
Utah.
13 mils. So he would be eligible for the Lakers to get in a buyout. As far if he is bought out, if let's say he's bought out, he becomes a free agent somewhere. he wanted to sign with a team, he could sign with the Lakers if that's
The
possible.
Lakers have the leverage in this case in terms of getting maybe another player to add depth. They don't have to give up really much. If somebody doesn't want to play ball, Rob's like, all right, no problem. Have a good day. They control how they finish off this roster. The only thing I'm pretty sure are very, very hoping to get is somehow get Kleber out. I think in order to get Kleber out, they'd have to probably take on a contract that's maybe an extra year.
Or that pick swap. They have 2 pick swaps left and a second.
I don't think Kleber's worth a pick swap.
Okay.
This team is pretty stacked already at this point. And when I say stacked, I'm talking about they have a playoff roster. Stacked means 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have.
So you can't attach picks anyways to Kleber. So yeah,
correct. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I totally blanked on that.
Yeah, I mean we're like we can't think conventionally, I guess, with Kleber if you can't attach.
It's been hard to catch up to this new CBA. I've been catching myself making mistakes, and we all know we're not Larry Kuhn with this stuff. It's just I can't read. What is it? 700 pages. I'm not going to be able. Even if I read it, I'm not going to absorb it all. I have to read it a few times. But we know the basics. We're getting to understand the basics here, and I think that's part of the excitement about what just happened too. Is the fact that the Lakers were able to squeak in maybe one more time, getting players the way they would always get players. And now, if this is the case in the future, then you can adjust. Plus, salary cap will be going up. Therefore, you're going to have the ability to make sure that you're in a good spot. Kleber's got to be the only feather that he wants out. If he does that, I think Rob sits at 12:01 saying, all right, I think I did everything I wanted.
That's a good question, Blue. I'll ask that in a sec. But with Luka Doncic, you wanted to post this. You wanted me to post this up there.
Luka is an absolute. He is lethal against Denver, guys. He is lethal. He's lethal against everyone, but he has a special thing from me. You're talking about a guy that's averaging 27, virtually 10 assists and almost 9 rebounds a game. I mean, it's almost a 27-point triple-double against the best player of the last 5 years, and they won a championship. And now you're giving Luka all the tools that he needs to really, really, really do some things here. I'm going to keep asking this question for the new people that hear this. If you replace Kyrie Irving with LeBron James last year in the finals, who wins the finals?
Good question.
I want you guys to don't think of it outside. Think of it as an observer. Don't think of it as a Laker fan. Really understand what happened. If you watched the finals, if you didn't watch the finals, you're not going to really know what happened. But it was identical. To me, it was identical in how Detroit beat the Lakers in 2004. They let Shaq do his thing, and they just hounded Kobe Bryant. That's what they did to. That's what they did to Kyrie Irving. Now they hounded Luka too, but Luka was still dropping 30 a game. But it was Kyrie who did not show up, and that was the undoing. If Kyrie played like he did, let's say in 2016, Dallas would have won the championship.
But before we get any further, I think Blue is in suspense. We have to know: does Joe forgive Rob for drafting Bronny?
I think Blue might have not been here when I said that I had made mistakes in terms of how I conducted myself and made it personal. That's my regret. I don't regret calling him out on the mistakes that happened. It's still there. He still made those mistakes. But I'm upset at myself for making it personal between him and Jeannie too. Jeannie, I think I was maybe even more harsh against. I called her incompetent. I think I called her stupid. That's not good. That's stupid on my part for doing that kind of stuff. And it's easy to be all happy and nice now when you get what you want, but the real people who care are going to like you when you're not doing well and support you when you're not doing well. And I failed there. I failed, and I should be called out for that. And if there's no forgiveness from that, I understand. It was a what's the line in Harold and Kumar? Yes, it was a dick move on my part. That's why I'm paying for your meal. It was Neil Patrick Harris when you've seen Harold and Kumar, right, Gerald?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Remember the scene when they finally get to White Castle? Sorry guys if this is a spoiler. I highly recommend Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, by the way. It's a stoner movie, and y'all know I don't like that kind of stuff, but the movies are great. It's the modern day Cheech and Chong. But anyways, so yeah, Neil Patrick Harris finally ends up showing up at the White Castle with their stolen car and apologizes, pays for their meal, and again, that's where that is from.
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, you are correct. They could not get Dennis Schroeder. It's 12.8. It's not 15 million. 12.8.
Where did they come up with this, man? Did they have to do that? Really?
Yeah.
Well, you can get a buyout guy, but if you're in the apron, it's got to be 15 mil. Like who wrote this up? What lawyer?
12.8. I should say 12.8.
Jeez.
Yeah. 12.8 million. So yes, Schroeder would not qualify. So it makes slightly more. So don't worry. The people who said Schroeder is trash in the chat, don't worry. The Lakers, unless they trade for him, will not be getting him. So there you go.
Yes, and also in response to my dumbness, you are not going to see me criticize Bronny James. That's the give back. That's the return I have. I'm going to support his play and redirect that irritation to respecting LeBron and his son and his family and respecting the Lakers. Because when you screw up, you got to own up to it. When you screw up, you have to own up to it. And when you do it in a stupid way like I did, you got to understand that there's likely not going to be a forgiveness. You have to sit in it. So it is what it is. I've said this, and I'll probably have to say it again. But Blue, that's the case here. Yeah, I'm not very happy. I'm not very happy with myself. I really am not. I fell into a moment of weakness.
No, just it's one first round pick, Mike, and a swap for Reddish. Well, okay, if you're considering Connect as a first round pick, okay. In theory, I get it. So, yes, again, for the player that they want, Joe, looking at that trade, some people are still divided on that. In essence, yes, they gave up 2 first round picks. If you consider Connect this year, who is this year's first round pick plus a swap. The swap may not convey. So if the swap doesn't convey, then really what really matters out of it. Reddish, just as filler, really was going to be somebody that's just going to be only in case break it emergency type player for the Lakers going forward, as he's been pretty much throughout his entire tenure. I think it was a good deal. This is the guy that again at 23 has a lot of upside, and somebody who with Luka and LeBron could develop quite nicely. So I think you have to take a chance. I love Connect as a shooter, as a scorer, what he could potentially do or be in the league. He is probably one of the worst defenders in the league, and I called him soft as tissue, and I can't take away from that because he is soft as tissue now. But if he ever finds force and just finds some type of drive to be even coming close to an adequate defender, man, he's got a great touch. He's going to be a great scorer in this league. So I think Charlotte got themselves a good player in Connect. Just got to be able to play some defense. But you got to take that chance when you got a guy with a lot of upswing and Mark Williams, Joe.
Younger than Connect, been in the league longer too. I'm not too concerned with injury history. Everyone has injury history in the NBA these days. Who doesn't? What's his name up in New York now? Bridges. That's it. That's the only guy that plays 82 games a year. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. I saw a second interview with Markieff Morris today, and he reiterated again, much clearer than the first interview he did with Ali Clifton. He keeps saying Luka is a low maintenance guy.
And he's
when
a
they
vet.
talked
He's
about
been
his
around.
when they talked about his conditioning issues, he's like, whatever issues he's having, it doesn't look like he has a lot of issues. He's still doing what he's doing. So, yeah, his teammates love him. Kyrie is calling him his hermano. DFS loves Luka. Markieff loves Luka. What the hell is going on here? What is going on in Dallas? What did Luka do that bothered them so much? And we're going to find out eventually. We're going to find out. I'm going to say we're going to find out in the next few, in the regular season, right? In the next few months, what that really meant. What is it? I don't get it. I don't get why that. What did Luka do behind the scenes that pissed these guys off so much? Because I'm not seeing it coming from the players.
I'm just noting to Eduardo that a little thing here based off of the trade that was just made. Phoenix Suns are trading Yusuf Nurkic, who I think had lost his favor with Mike Budenholzer. In fact, he communicated that he hadn't spoken to Budenholzer in weeks, and so he became persona non grata there. And a 2026 first round pick to the Charlotte Hornets. That 2026 first round pick might be something. To the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Martin. So we have the distinction, Joe, of both Martin brothers being traded in this trade deadline, because Caleb Martin was traded yesterday. Vasily Mishek and a 2026 second round pick, according to ESPN. So I know that Eduardo was like, is he going to be able to be bought out? And there's another year on his contract, so I don't think he'll be bought out just yet. I think that's part of the reason why he was a little bit unattractive in a trade, and Phoenix had to attach the first round pick to it because, just that situation went dire with Yusuf Nurkic. So there you go, my friend. Charlotte's still wheeling and dealing, getting a whole bunch of picks. That 2026 pick might be good the way Phoenix has been playing. So who knows, Joe? Who knows?
This is
Charlotte?
the new regime somewhat. It's not the Mitch
Yeah.
Kupchak Jordan thing.
Mhm.
They're probably trying to do what Oklahoma City did, which, hey, this is a good thing, guys. I'm not saying this because they helped the Lakers, but this is a good thing. I want all teams to be doing well. I don't want when all the teams are doing well, it's better for the league, it's better for viewership, it's better for TV, it's better for everything. You don't want Charlotte to continue to stink or New Orleans to stink and Toronto. You don't want that.
Well, Phoenix made that trade with Utah when they traded one first round pick, a better first round pick for 3 back at the end first round picks. So this will probably be this is one of those back at the first round picks most likely. So we'll see how it works out for Charlotte. But yeah, that's why they did it, so they could attach some of these bad players and bad contracts away from Phoenix, Joe.
I'm probably waiting right now for what might materialize with this Durant thing. There's a lot, apparently, according to Shams, there's a lot of teams trying to get Durant right now. I don't know who, but what if this kind of just came to my mind? What if Boston makes a deal to get Durant?
They've been very quiet, Joe, outside of the Jaden Springer trade. Just to get off.
What if they send Porzingis and Derek White and 3 first round picks for Durant? Something like that, right?
Yeah. Mike, according to Sport Track, he has a club option for the next 2 seasons, I think. Let me see. Let me get the. Oh no, he has a club option. They have a club option for next season, but he'll be a restricted free agent in 2026. But yeah, I'm sure they're going to offer him a pretty hefty extension here sometime in the not too distant future. So, yep. Looking forward to seeing what happens there again with Orlando. I thought that's one way we go. We haven't seen them as a buyer or seller. I know traditionally they don't like to do many trades, but yeah, I think the way that they're going, even though they've got both Banchero and Wagner back, I think something needs to be done to spice up their offense because they're really an inept offense overall, and so they need something to go ahead and provide for them. But yeah, they haven't done anything as of yet this trade deadline, which has been kind of surprising for me. But yes, right now, again, the Phoenix Suns are trading Yusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first round pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Martin, Vasily Michik, and a 2026 second round pick. So that's again, I'm not sure. Are we going to see a big name go before?
Quabina made a good thought. Quabina made a really good. I'm looking at the Minnesota setup. What it would the Phoenix Suns take? Let's say maybe 1 first round pick, Jaden McDaniels, and Julius Randle for Durant, something like that.
That's punting your season, Joe. If that's the case,
you don't think Durant and Anthony Edwards and Gobert might be a better shot?
No, I'm talking about the Phoenix end. On the Phoenix
end,
done
anyways. What are they?
Tell them that
punting what? Are they even going to make the playoffs?
I believe they think they still can.
You think Phoenix is going to be better than Golden State and San Antonio?
I said I think they believe that they think they can. I didn't say I believe that. I said they think. I'm pretty sure when you have Durant and Booker still there, that you think you can go ahead and right the ship. And I think that this trade, that they just did might help them, or at least in their opinion, as far as free up some cap space and obviously get some players in there maybe that can help out in certain ways, because Yusuf Nurkic, obviously, it's unfortunately wasn't going to really give them much help. But yeah, I think that if we went Durant to Minnesota, I think would be something really good, something that they need. Durant in Orlando as an offensive scorer would be something that they really need. We talked about Orlando being inept offensively. That's something they could really use. Put him at the 5 spot, and you have him, Banchero. All those guys are 6'10" and above. So Banchero, Wagner, and Durant as a front line. I don't know. That would be something, at least something worthwhile you want to look into there. But I don't see Orlando pulling the trigger on that one. But yeah, Durant, I'm not sure if he goes anywhere at this point. He said no to Golden State. Is there going to be any more big names? Because there's 90 minutes left, Joe. Will there be any more big names moving before the trade deadline?
I don't know. I'm told you, I'm not gonna predict anything after the Luka thing. I don't know. Shams has made it clear that there are teams hot and heavy for Durant. If I'm Phoenix, I make a trade. You got to start over there. It's over. It's done. There's nothing else you can do. You are not going to win with Durant and Beal. You got to get yourself figured out here. You already have the biggest payroll in the NBA. You're already going to pay the most in luxury tax. The least you can do now is somehow you have Booker signed through 28. At least you have that. And there's no options for him either. You just got rid of Nurkic. Get rid of Durant. Get some draft capital that you've thrown away as well back, and try to develop this thing in the next couple of years when Bradley Beal here will be done in 27.
Theoretically, Homelander, you could. I mean, if you piece together, some of the salaries that the Lakers have. I mean, AR, Rui, Gabe. I think that gets you close to what Kevin Durant's making. So theoretically, you could, but I don't think that Phoenix is going to take that call. Again, it depends on how they see and how they view Kevin Durant at this point in time. Do they see him still at that elite level as an elite player? and they want to haul back, or do they have the realization that he is a player that, even though he still can turn it on from time to time, is above the age of 35 and may have seen his best years behind him? So again, we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be the case. But Blue Magic says, Joe, Phoenix can't make a big trade without Beal waiving that no trade clause. Beal is holding stuff up. Yes, he is.
Yes, but I don't think it has anything to do with Durant. Now, Phoenix doesn't have to trade Durant either. They might be able to get a better deal later too. It's not all encompassing. They could even wait till next year. Next year, he's going to be going into his last year of his current deal. So he might actually have more value next year around this time than he does now. But if you get a killer deal now, get it. Just try to get your draft picks back. Try to get a solid player back. They have some young guys. They just got Nick Richards, so that's a young up and coming guy. They're only paying him $5 million a year. You have Grayson Allen, who's the dirty guy, the dirty work guy. You still have Devin Booker, who's a perennial all-star, at least it was until this year. You made your bed with Bradley Beal. You're gonna have to wait for him to finish out his contract, which unfortunately doesn't finish until the end of 2027. But I'm sorry, I don't know what else. I don't know how else to look at Phoenix in a positive light. Hope that Booker doesn't demand a trade next year, I guess.
And this was a team that many picked that might be a challenger for the top of the Western Conference. It has not materialized that way, which has obviously been good for us. But yeah, seeing how that was materialized, those big threes. This is the second time, Joe, that there's been a big three that's been assembled. Like, for instance, when Brooklyn did it with Kyrie, with Durant, ironically, and Harden. That obviously didn't work out. They played very few games together, really only had one small run, and it didn't materialize out. Here in Phoenix, it's actually been a lot worse when they got their big three together. These big threes don't work out as well as that they intend to. So we'll have to see how that is alleviated in Phoenix, or otherwise. Maybe it's going to probably be off, maybe during the off season, and see where we go from there. But again, I want to thank everybody for staying with us. I know it has not been the most active of trade deadlines. Maybe everybody blew up as far as what they could or what they're asking for, but we're hoping that there's still going to be more flurry of activity in the last less than 90 minutes left. So we'll try to go ahead and see if we'll stay with you till at least then. Joe, again, for the Lakers, though, Luka Doncic coming back most likely this Saturday. ESPN flexing the game in. It's probably they got an earful that maybe that he is going to be there for that game. Tonight's game is against Golden State. I don't, he's not going to be there playing today. Mark Williams won't be there today. But again, this is the thing at home. If they can take this game shorthanded like this, heading into the Luka game on Indiana, my gosh, the momentum keeps on rolling for the Lakers. They could, we talked about this before. We're thinking, third place in the Western Conference, maybe even a hint at second, although Memphis is playing still really well.
We wanted top four at the very least. We want a home court first round and then let things develop from there. Maybe with some luck, Clippers will continue to play well enough to get the 6. If the Lakers get the 3, then not only are they at home, they don't have to travel much. Because in the West, the Lakers teams have to travel to Minnesota, Memphis. If New Orleans was a factor, have to travel to New Orleans. These places are far. These places are technically East Coast type distances. It will help. It will help, especially if you're going to play somebody like Denver and deal with the altitude. The last thing you want to be doing is traveling a lot before you go there. And I think the 3 is very likely, should everybody stay healthy. I think that's almost guaranteed at this point. Number 2, Memphis would have to have a bad week where they lose 3 or 4 in a row and the Lakers win 3 or 4 in a row. And then you can start talking about the number 2. But
Let
I
me
don't,
ask
I
you
don't,
this, Joe.
I don't see the three or the two being that big of a difference. I mean, you would have to
Mhm.
start if Memphis wins. Let's say they get the second seed, Lakers have the third. They win their first round. Memphis was the first round. You got to travel to Memphis, but I don't think Memphis right now is going to be able to. It's going to be hard to play with a Luka LeBron team, even
Let
if
me,
they have home court.
let me ask you this. How soon do you think it'll mesh? Because obviously there's going to be an adjustment period for all the new additions to come aboard, be able to work with the team. But, these are veterans coming in. It's not like they're rookies. So they're familiar with, there's still subtle differences, but generally a lot of these plays are run the same way, the same fashion, in most cases for these NBA teams. How long do you think it will be before we actually see the product on the court that we're envisioning for this team, as far as fully meshed, fully worked out, that type deal between LeBron, Luca, Williams, and the rest of the Lakers?
Mike, that's an excellent question. I'll get to it in a second. Let me answer Gerald's question first. I
Hmm.
think it's going to take probably a few weeks, and
Hmm.
that's kind of short, just
Hmm.
because Luca is that good. Luca is not. Luca has an instinct to the game that isn't taught. You can't teach what he has.
Hmm.
And when you have that kind of ability, you're not going to be able to worry about, oh, is he going to know that Reeves is cutting or going over the screen or whatever. Luca is his processing is much like a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes. He will work off of your movement versus, oh, I'm waiting for you to do this, or I'm waiting. Like he'll adjust. If you're not moving fast enough, he will figure out a quicker way to get the ball to you, or delay it a little bit more, or do it himself.
Hmm.
It's not even fair how good he is. It's not even fair that he can do that. And very few people, even LeBron can't really do that. See, LeBron is so physically gifted, and his physique, his physiology is so. I know he put anybody that's dedicated like that needs to be praised. I'm 100% on that. But he also has some kind of a gift with his fibers. I call it the Matthews kind of stitching in the body. Matthews is in the football players. Bruce Matthews, Clay Matthews Senior. Their dad, when he played in the 50s, those guys played 17, 19. Their dad played in the 50s for 14 seasons. These guys are made different. Ray Lewis is made different. LeBron is made different. He adds to it because he's dedicated. But the guy is he's built to play basketball, and it's just that's what his destiny was. And he has more of a, I'm more talented than you, I'm faster than you, I'm bigger than you, and I can handle the ball better than you, and I'm going to do what I do. Luka is not as gifted as LeBron. He is not going to jump out the building, but his processing, which is very in tune with a Magic Johnson or a Larry Bird, gives him almost an even playing field. That's how, like, processing wise, how much better he is than everyone else. So I believe it's going to be an easy transition because of that. And if you don't believe me, even though he wasn't a point guard, all you have to do is watch the New Jersey Nets game, the first game that Pau Gasol played back in 2008. It was seamless. It was seamless. It was like he had been playing with those guys forever because he's so damn smart. So yeah, I'm not expecting more than a few weeks. Could be less.
We'll get you to Mike's question here in a second, Joe, but I did want to make an update for the audio listeners as well. The Atlanta Hawks, as Mike Anguilano, my guest yesterday, Mike Anguilano, Fear of the Sword, Palace of Pistons, really great interview I had with him yesterday. He was saying if the Cleveland Cavaliers could get Cam Johnson, look out for DeAndre Hunter. And sure enough,
Yeah.
DeAndre Hunter to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Karis LeVert, who's actually was having a nice season, but I believe he is on the last year of his contract. George Niang, 3 second-round picks and 2 swaps. There you go. Wow.
That's a great,
nice.
great trade for Cleveland, and
Yeah.
that now likely puts them in a position if he can assimilate. Now that puts them in a position to really be able to compete with Boston in the East.
Yep.
Levert isn't bad. I'm not saying he's bad.
Hunter
but
plays better defense.
Hunter plays
than
better.
Levert.
Yeah, Hunter
Yeah.
is. That's a great trade. That's a
If
great
Hunter
trade for
can
Cleveland.
stay on the court, because Hunter, like Mark Williams, has been very injury prone, but this season he started the season really strong, almost 20 points a game. For the first part of the season, averaging over 40% from three. So if he can give them that in Cleveland, watch out. They could be really something special. And again, I think the key for them is home court. If they get home court, they do stand a chance against Boston. I didn't say they would win. I said they stand a chance against Boston.
Well, Doobie,
but-
if I'm obviously gonna side with a Boston Laker final because I want to see the Lakers beat Boston in the finals.
Mhm.
But there is a story if it's Cleveland too. I
Yeah.
think that
Again, it's a
pretty cool.
chance. I didn't say they would be favored. You still favored Boston, but I'm just saying that if they had a home court, they do have a chance.
Absolutely. This gives them a better chance than what they had 5 minutes
Yeah.
ago. That's all it is.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Mike Lopez has that question for you. Do you see LeBron take a page out of Otani's book and give the Lakers financial flexibility to go after someone like Ingram or Kuminga? Or do you see LeBron asking for $50 million again if he opts out and does the 1-1 again? Like I had said, whether it's play, he now has an extra incentive to play and continue his career, Joe. But I was saying he would continue in the past for Bryce and all that stuff. But now he has a real incentive to keep on his career now with Luka being in town. Do you see him making that financial?
Okay,
reduction?
guys, I'm gonna use all three sports as an example here. So you've heard football players in the NFL restructure their contracts, and they free up X amount of dollars once they restructure. And the first instinct is, man, he's really helping the team. Yeah, sure, he is helping for now. And by the way, he's getting paid that money anyways. It just gets moved up to the front. So that's how it works in the NFL when they restructure. They'll usually turn it into a bonus or a signing bonus type thing, right? In baseball, especially in California, guys. So what Otani did, and he does want to win. A lot of it is part of that too. But the other part of him deferring $680 million is there are tax benefits in doing that. Because he can get paid that money outside LA, outside California. It's actually better that they defer in that situation because half that money would be gone in California. They got jock tax, they got state tax, obviously the federal, you got Medicare, you got Social Security, you got all that stuff, right? So by deferring, for a lot of these guys, it's actually beneficial because they get to keep more of it if they extend it out. And then, of course, winning is part of it. Otani knew. Otani brought that to the Lakers, to the Dodgers, by the way. I mean, they could be lying, but I don't think that's a lie. Otani brought that. That wasn't a option that Friedman said, hey, can you defer $680 million? No one in their right mind would have asked that. It has to be true. Because Otani knows. Otani makes $70 million a year in endorsements. Guys, you know who was second? I'm talking about all athletes. Yamamoto, his teammate. I think he's at like 18. I have to check those numbers again because I think they're probably different now. Imagine that. 70 million. And the closest guy is like 18 million. All right. So what is going to define a legacy? Is it going to be the money that you're making later? Why not just make that money later and actually benefit it in getting more of it by just waiting? You're already making $70 million a year anyways. What more money? Warren Buffett said after $50 million, all the money's all the same. You can buy whatever you want. What difference does it make? I'd rather win 7-8 World Series and get my 680 later and get the tax benefits on top of that while I'm making 70 mil. But that's me. And it looks like it's Otani too. Now, you look at Juan Soto, he don't give a shit about deferred money. He's like, give me money now. Give me the booth. Give my mom an allowance. This motherfucker just got $800 million when it's all said and done. He still wants a stipend for his mom's clothes. I mean, I would have told his, honestly, if I was Cohen and he had done that to me at the end of the negotiation, I would have told him to go fuck off. I said, you're out of your mind. I don't want you here. I said, no, I'm not doing that. So anyways.
Make a note of it. I was going to say, make a note of it. 1 hour.
Again, I'm putting context to this, Gerald. You keep interrupting me. Forward to the NBA structure. LeBron, the problem with the NBA is taking pay cuts doesn't always necessarily you can use that money for other things. It's a different system. The salaries that are left over, let's say in a year and a half, would have to dictate him taking a pay cut so that you have enough money to allocate that money to somebody else. But you can't. Just like when D'Angelo Russell last year, we were saying they have to sign him, and you're like, Joe, why the hell do you want D'Angelo Russell back? Well, for someone who doesn't know how the system works, I'm like, you can't lose that asset. We would have never got DFS. If he had walked, you would have lost that money. You don't recoup $18 million. It's not how the system works. You can pay your own guys that money if you have their bird rights, and that's it. So the salary structures would have to work a certain way for LeBron to take a pay cut, a real pay cut to allow the Lakers to add more talent. And that's all going to be dictated on, are they going to, if Mark Williams has a great year, are they going to extend him this summer? I think Austin Reeves is doing I think he's eligible for an extension as well. That's why I'm kind of happy I'm not in that business, because those are hard decisions to make. Sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to be rude. I was just saying.
No. I was making say take a note that we were clean for 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Well, because I'm thinking. Look, sometimes you got to put a button on something, and that was a good. It was. I mean, think about that for a second. You're getting to get paid $800 million, and yet you're still asking for clothes for someone. I think that is just as disrespectful as you can get, and it's embarrassing that Steve Cohen allowed himself to be put in that position as a guy of the power of industry in that, because Juan Soto is not going to win you World Series. A team is going to win you a World Series, and allocating that much money and that much gifts for someone others will resent it, especially in house at some point, because he will get arrogant. Juan Soto is an arrogant type guy. He has it in him. And that is as arrogant as they get. But I'm looking forward to the Dodgers whooping their ass, so I don't give a shit.
Rich Gaming and someone.
Gerald, just put a beep on the edit. Can you do that?
No, it's too time consuming. I could do it and go back and do it for audio listeners, but here you just can't do it. It's done. It's done. But yeah, for audio listeners, they already know now when I go ahead and I mark it explicit that it is what it is. But someone and Rich Gaming, I wanted to combine these two questions into one, because Rich Gaming says, what 3-and-D wings can we get? And someone says, what else are the Lakers missing to be a contender? So your thoughts, let's combine those two into one question. What 3-and-D or pieces are we missing for the Lakers to be a contender? I think they already are, but yes, perimeter defense, a little bit more size, maybe a little bit more flexibility on the wings. All these teams would want the same thing, but again, the Lakers, what do they need in your mind, Joe?
Nothing. I don't think they need anything. If you're using those who are available, I don't think they need anything. I think they're done.
I've never censored Joe, Diana, never censored Joe at all in all the years. But I do earlier in the audio, but he curses way too much. It's too time consuming to bleep him out for our
Yeah, the censoring is more for business purposes. It's not to censor me because he doesn't want me to show my.
I was trying to reach it out to even a broader audience.
Yeah, and I keep screwing it up. I'm gonna work on. I'm still trying to work on a way to say the right word at the right time with the right button without actually saying a curse word.
But hearing Joe say poo poo all the time would probably.
That's never gonna happen. I didn't even say that to my kids when they were growing up.
Do we have a sponsor now? No, but YYC, if you know a major company that's willing to do so, we'll be happy to
But
do so.
everybody does the same thing, right? I mean, it's people play Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter, right? Street Fighter is not as gory as Mortal Kombat. We're Mortal Kombat.
There you go.
Mortal
That's
Kombat's
just
worth more than
again.
Street Fighter, I believe, too.
But again, like I said, the only reason why I said it was just presenting it to an even larger audience, so that people at work, if they want to hear this, doesn't have to worry about being
Yeah,
an
I'm
NSFW. And the
mother.
kids
Maybe
with the
I'll
car,
use mother loving instead of mother
that'll
effer.
last. That won't last.
I'm gonna try, guys. I'll give it a shot.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
It doesn't flow. I gotta start practicing.
Joe, and you're right, Richard. Joe isn't a go potty type guy.
No, I that word does in my culture. No, not in that word. Never really. I mean, I've said it, but it's not.
Yay! A subscriber.
Peter, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have to go to
It's
Beth.
just how big do we want this channel to get to, and that's basically what's going on.
And I feel bad every time I mess up, and that
Yeah.
I really do. I'm gonna really try to fix it.
I did one time at one time, guys, market this to radio stations along the West Coast, and yeah, that's what I was trying to do, basically. And of course, you have to be bleeped or cleaned, what all that. But again, at this point, Joe is Joe, and that's what he's going to be. If he gets to be a little bit less Joe for you, I'm sure you guys will let him know. But yeah, man, first time we've dropped under 100 for a little while though, but there's still some time left, a little bit over an hour remaining in the NBA trade deadline. It is Gerald Glassford along with Joe Sorrell. Thanks so much again for joining us. It is our NBA trade special. We just saw one of the major, actually probably the major transaction of the day just take place with Atlanta and Cleveland, with Karis LeVert, George Niang, and seconds, plural, going to Atlanta, and DeAndre Hunter going to Cleveland. That's going to be something major for them, man. He's not cheap though. It's going to be, got a contract in the 20s for the next 3 seasons. So this is a win now move if you're Cleveland. So they better win now, and they better play well against Boston. But again,
this is the beginning. If they can sustain this core and add the way they did, then they're going to contend for at least 2-3 years if they don't screw it up. A lot of these teams, they look at Minnesota. They made a run to the Western Conference Finals, and they didn't really do much to try to separate themselves this year. They're in the play-in right now. They shouldn't be there right now. Everyone keeps telling me how Anthony Edwards is this star because he makes a couple of dunks. Guys, this is a day in, day out business. You have to be really focused, game in, game out. And if you're going to have enough talent to get to a conference finals, you can't sit there and go, oh, well, we made it to the Western Conference Finals, especially if you're Minnesota. Like, dude, you all need to start getting your crap together. See, I can do it. See, I can do it. That flows
step
right?
in the right direction.
And stop crying about the Gobert trade and stop crying about the Karl-Anthony Towns. Look, just do it. You're Anthony Edwards. You're supposed to be the face of the NBA soon. That's what I've been told. Make it happen. You have enough talent to compete. You showed it last year. So get to it. Get to it. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. And Lakers right now, in my view, are I am sure that the Western Conference teams, the ones that are competing and wanting to get to the finals and have a good chance to do it, they just looked, especially after yesterday, they just looked at their stuff and said, oh, we have to deal with these guys again. And Denver's like, oh, Luka's going to be coming to Denver now. Oh, it's not going to be AD, who hasn't shown up the last 2 series, really. That right there is the satisfaction. It's the satisfaction. It's not the same one, man. It's not the same one. This is a different beast coming now. And the 22nd, guys, if Lakers whoop Denver on the 22nd, I'm talking like by 15, and they control the game, that whole whatever Denver had on the Lakers is going to go, because that's going to sit. It's already starting now. That's going to sit after that and be like, we should have won it last year. And you're right, Denver. You're right. You should have won it last year. You should have went back to back. We wouldn't have had to have seen the Celtics win. You screwed it up now, and now the Lakers are going to make you pay.
I did want to mention from Richard, he said, LOL, just add Tyler Smith and Kispert and subtract the layup line Maxi at all costs, and we will be great for a while. Let's hope that's the case because, again, broken bone in the foot. I'd say he's done for the season. Maybe could come back for a playoff run for team or the Lakers. But I know that Maxi Kleber is no longer the player that he once was, and I know that Dallas if you listen to our friends that We Talk Mavs, man, yeah, they're not really happy at all with Dwight Powell, with the Maxi Klebers. Yeah, so I'm sure they're glad to see Maxi Kleber gone. But I told you, Joe, to check out We Talk Mavs on the day that trade.
I listened. I did listen. It was a funeral.
It was like going to a funeral.
It was a funeral.
It was a funeral. And it was just, you feel bad in a way for them because if it was, I was us on the other end and somebody had gone and the Lakers had gone and done that, I know how I would feel. I feel like I'd be like, just my heart would be ripped out. And I could tell that really they just, those guys, they work so hard like we do, trying to earn something right here, earn an audience on YouTube, and they work so hard at it, and just to have that all ripped out by this trade. And again, there's still going to be a nice team, but with We Talk Mavs, when you listen to them, they think with Luka, they're always going to be like us, Joe. They're always think they're in the hunt somehow. They always think they're with the right things going their way because they had Luka, they were going to always have a chance to go all the way back to the finals once again. And it just to hear their disappointment and anguish, and just they had to gut it through for their audience. I give them a lot of props, a lot of credits. They could have shut it down, Joe. They could have shut the channel down. They should have not said anything or done anything. But I give them a lot of credit because We Talk Mavs. Again, they're a couple of classy guys there, and they do take care of our audience. I emulate a lot of things that they try to do for their audience here with our audience, and again, just absolutely give credit for them. Really, my heart goes out to them. But you know what? That's life in the NBA. I mean, one day you could feel like you're on top, you're going to the finals, and you have a chance to win. Next day, it's all gone.
Those outside Dallas, those who were, let's say that moron Charles Barkley, saying that the Mavericks are going to be 2-3 years better in this trade than the Lakers, which is just absolutely stupid. Barkley I know Barkley has the truth gene. I can relate to it, but he talks more out his butthole than he does his mouth. And he's not even using any logic when he says that. He's just saying it. And that's probably the irritation with him is there's a difference between telling the truth and yapping out of your you know what. And Charles does that half the time, and he tells the truth half the time. And sometimes those things intertwine. But for a Hall of Fame, one of the greats, a guy that was phenomenal, a guy that knows this, we've talked about this so many times. Why does he talk like this? Is he just? I don't think he's that bright. I don't think he's that cagey.
I think he's doing that just to troll.
Do you really think he's that cagey? I don't think so. I think he just doesn't think sometimes. There's a reason why Michael doesn't befriend him anymore. It's because he doesn't think. It's the
Well,
reason why
Michael actually
Pippen.
has other things to worry about right now, Joe.
Well, I'm just saying it's just it looks bad because he has so much influence. Those who have so much influence, we got mad at LeBron. I got mad at LeBron for things he said outside the court, during the court, whatever, that are not true. And yet he would act like he's informed. He's not. It's wrong. Go do the research. And to have an opinion versus saying, "Oh, I mean," he went to the extreme. "Oh, this is going to be a better team for 2-3 years." Charles, you just said the Lakers sucked for the last 2 years. You know why the Lakers sucked? They couldn't close out games. You know who was a big part of that? Anthony Davis. He was missing free throws and missing shots, turning it over or not turning it over, whatever. And now you bring in a guy who makes those shots and puts the fear of God in their opponent, and you're saying that the other team got better? How? How? I want to know. Explain why. You're Charles Barkley. You're Charles Barkley. I'm no one. Okay, I didn't play in the NBA, but you need to tell me then. Why are you saying that? Because I do watch. I know basketball. I might not know basketball like I know like Charles does, but do I or do I not? Because that doesn't make any sense. He went to 2-3 years. If he had said, "Well, I think Dallas might be better this year," I would have said, "Okay, I'll give you a little bit of that," even though that might not even be true. And I'm not saying this has to be injury-free dialogue. All this can blow up if there's a bad injury, right? No one is wrong. No one is wrong if an injury happens. It's impossible to predict that. But if there's no injuries, side by side, if you actually think that Dallas came up on this, go listen to We Talk Mavs on Saturday's show, and you tell me, listening to those guys talk who know that team very well, and talk to the other God knows how many Maverick fans and God knows how many Luka fans who really won this trade. Do you think our faces would have been frozen in time if this wasn't a big deal? You think our faces would have looked like this if it was Trae Young? No disrespect to Trae Young. I would have been happy too. But I would have been sitting there like this for like 10 minutes. You don't believe me? Go look. Gerald put up the little tidbit, 10-minute tidbit. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where I was. Sean was taking a dump on me for 5 minutes. I'm just sitting there like this. We're going to see. We're going to see. And I'm ready to see it.
Are we going to get Doncic jerseys? Yes, I plan on getting one. I still may try to get a Connect one if it goes on super clearance.
I'm gonna make my Doncic jersey, G.
I really like the kid.
It's gonna be the Kobe jersey with Doncic on it.
Yeah. I really like the kid Connect. So again, I might get one just in honor of him. But yeah, definitely getting a Doncic jersey at some point in time. I will try to have on Stone because he said it'd be available at 4 p.m. If not, I don't know if Joe wants to do. I might be sleeping. So to be honest with you, because I need to crash at some point in time today because we still got lots of coverage tonight. So I'll try to stay awake for Stone, but I can't guarantee it. But he does get off at I think 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. So I may be able to do something with him because I know that you guys want to hear what he thought. But I did put his thoughts in the chat, what he's based off of report_court on Twitter. He doesn't love it or hate it. So that's typical Stone right there. But again, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Gerald Glassford. Again, please like and subscribe. If you've been hanging out with us all day, we would really, truly appreciate it if you liked and subscribe. It does help out the channel. I know that every YouTube channel says it, but it does help the channel. It's what Google tells me. It's what YouTube tells me. So truly looking forward to seeing if you could do that. So you could join us, get the notifications on when we go live, become a part of the family here at Lakers Fast Break. But Joe, while there's a break in the action, because again, we have less than an hour remaining in this trade deadline, I'm hoping there'll be more of a flurry of activity, but we'll wait and see. There is the game tonight against Golden State. Both teams will be a little short-handed, but the Lakers, it will probably come down to, again, LeBron versus Curry one last time, Joe, before other entities get in the way, like Jimmy Butler, Doncic, all that stuff. But for now, one last time, it'll be LeBron versus Curry. By themselves. That's what I mean, guys. By themselves, essentially.
Is
That's the
there any
stopwatch.
chance next year that Curry goes somewhere else?
Could be.
Does he want to? Because Curry on a team where he's the number 2, that'd be an interesting discussion in the summer.
Yeah. I agree.
Curry could look at it as, look, I won 4 championships. I'm gonna stick it out. If we can make it work, we'll make it work. If not, I don't want to be that guy that's traveling trying to win championships. It's not likely to happen, but I was thinking of the right deal. The right deal, maybe. There's no one in Miami, Bruin, if that's what you're talking about. It would have to be a bona fide one. I'm talking Denver type team where it's Jokic is the 1 and then Curry as the number 2. They would trade Jamal, maybe Aaron Gordon, and a few draft picks for Curry. Curry goes to Denver and sees if he can win championships with Jokic, something like that. I haven't heard anything, guys. I'm just throwing that out there. I haven't heard anything.
I know he turns 37, Joe, and his numbers are down, but he's still Curry. He's still averaging around 40% from 3. He is still averaging 22. He's like LeBron. There are those days where he looks like old Curry. And just like those days where we see LeBron, it looks like old LeBron. But there's still, whether you say it's 60, 75% of the time, 50% of the time, what have you, there are those days that you can see LeBron and Curry still able to turn it on from time to time. They just cannot do it every game, which is why having Luka in there makes it even more advantageous because it allows LeBron to pick and choose his spots to be dominant.
We are going to see something truly different here. Kyrie is a ball handling guard. Dwayne Wade was a ball handling guard, but they weren't point guards in my book. They were really never point guards. All that time that LeBron wanted to play with Curry, all that discussion about him wanting to play with Curry, well, he's going to be playing with a Curry-like player, a point guard. Even though there's more of a hybrid in Curry, I consider him more of a shooting guard, but he handles the ball. I want to see what LeBron does off ball. If LeBron is a menace off the ball, goodbye. The transition is going to be like this. If LeBron starts diving, baseline, alley-oop with Luka every here and there, you goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. That is going to ignite. That's going to ignite everything. And for sure, no matter what, even if he's not going to be that guy, the overworking is going to be lessened. He does not have to continue to bring the ball up over and over and over and over again in a long stretch of games. And then in the playoffs, when every possession matters, he's not going to get taxed at the end of the games as much as he has. He's still a human being at the end of the day, guys. And I know most of you have heard this because I've discussed it before, but for those of you who haven't, those people, those idiots, those morons who always would yap about, well, of course he's going to score 60 points. He shot it 30 times, 40 times, 50 times. I'm like, you have any idea how hard it is to shoot the ball in the NBA? You have any idea? You ever tried shooting over a 6'8", 6'9", 7-foot player? Game in, game out, all day, every day? You ever try to do that? You know how much elevation those guys have to get to so that their shot doesn't get blocked? And if they're not going to elevate, do you have any idea how much space they have to create to do that? And that space is predicated on elite skills. Luka is a very good one. He doesn't have elite vertical. He doesn't have elite speed. You know where he's elite? That's where. For those of you who are listening on the audio, I was using brain, follow through, and dribble. Because they don't know what he's going to do. If he already know he's a half a second faster than you, no matter how athletic you are. He can shoot from across the hall and make it without even thinking. He could pass it to the guy right where he wants it, right where he needs it for the score. He's hella confident, hella competitive. And by the way, he's 25 years old. Good luck in the Liam Neeson movie voice. Good luck. I'm sorry, the Albanian accent. Good luck. And then, by the way, you're going to have LeBron running around too, by the way. 6'8", 260, still jumping out the building. Yeah, good luck. Good luck guarding that.
Again, if you get LeBron like we saw at MSG, like we saw against the Clippers, Joe, if you have that LeBron package with Luka, yeah, again, I put them as having a chance against any team in the NBA. Boston, Cleveland, OKC, they have a chance in a series against them. I didn't say they'd win, everyone. Please don't misquote me. I said they have a chance and to being very competitive in a series against all those teams, the way that they're lined up. So, yes, it would be nice to get a little bit more depth before in the last 45 minutes. But even if that's the case and it slows down to a crawl here, I think the Lakers have virtually won the trade deadline without a doubt, Joe.
Is it safe to say this is the greatest trade deadline for a team ever? We still have to see the results.
Yeah.
But if Luka has a 5-year Laker run where he wins 2 or 3 championships, it's definitely the greatest trade deadline acquisition in NBA history. The last 2 deadline for big players, one was in 2004 and the other was in 1995. 1995 was the acquisition of Clyde Drexler from Portland to go to Houston for Otis Thorpe and whatever fillers they had at that time. Rockets went on to win a championship. And then 2004, Rasheed Wallace was traded from Portland to Atlanta for, I think, 5 minutes, and then ended up getting traded to Detroit. And Detroit ended up surprising everyone that year and winning it all. So, yeah, there's a chance now that the Lakers could be the 3rd team in 30 years to acquire talent at the deadline and ended up winning a championship. And if you think Dallas is hurting now, if that were to happen, Dallas would figuratively collapse. Fan base. Luka fan base might not be affected as much because they're just reverting to here. We know because they're all coming to our show. But Dallas is going to, especially if Dallas loses in a close game. I know Kyrie has a little bit of a clutch gene, but it's not Luka clutch. It's not Kobe clutch. It's not that kind of clutch. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun ride. And for the record, if the Lakers don't win it this year, it's okay, guys. I believe their work will be kind of solidified more during the summer when they can actually focus on it more instead of being kind of in a hurry and trying to patch things together the best they can. I think they'll be able to have a training camp, a summer, all that stuff, and that will be a much better in the long run to probably have a little bit more preparation to get this thing done right. So, but if they do what the Dodgers did this year, where we know they were the best team in the record wise in the league, but their entire pitching staff was shredded, and the pitching staff came together at the right time, and of course their bats were doing what they were doing all year, and it worked out a year earlier than everyone thought. Maybe we can get lucky to see the Lakers do that, and then the real problem is going to be for the NBA, because how do you stop a team that just got together when they have a full year to prepare? You better hope for injuries, I guess, at that point.
Exactly. Rodell, Joe is already on this show today, and also last night's show already made apologies to Rob and Jeannie at length. So
Yeah, it was.
missed it.
It was bad. There's no other way to put it. It was bad. The things I said, and it was out of frustration. I could use every excuse in the book, but I'm better than that. When I was saying it, there was a little tick in my head saying maybe you shouldn't say that, but then the other tick, my left guy,
The
was
devil
like,
on your shoulder and the angel
yeah,
on your right.
the devil said, "No, Joe, no, you need to stop being a you know what, and just tell what it is. Tell it what it is." But the issue I have with it is it's not good for anyone. That's a line that I heard. Former owner of the Steelers, Art Rooney Sr., the first owner. I always remember this from 30 years ago. It was a scenario where they were talking to Art and they said something to him, and he goes, "That right there, somebody did something stupid." I think it was Dan, his son, who took over ownership after Art passed away. He goes, "Dan, that doesn't do anyone any good. That doesn't do anyone any good." And that kind of rung a little louder the last few days. And you own up to your mistakes. Actually, it's not a mistake. Bad decision on continuing, because a mistake is when you accidentally turn left when you shouldn't have and get an accident. This was decision because it was a continuous issue. Just in. LA Clippers are trading Terrence Mann and Bones Highland to the Atlanta Hawks for Bogdan Bogdanovic.
And 3 second-round picks.
We're in the stretch.
Yep, we're in that stretch. The last 40 minutes.
39 minutes away, folks. See, I think it's going to get active here. We'll see what little snippets we'll get. Maybe Rob can sneak just one more thing and get Kleber out, but
I don't think there's going to be any. I don't think there's going to be any major name trades, not like huge trades. Like, for instance, Atlanta Hawks, I don't think they'll trade Trae Young now. I think that deal, if somebody was asking for Trae Young, I think that deal's off the boards to facilitate that large of a trade in this short of time frame. But I know that these GMs are scrambling. I think you have to turn in by 12, and it will probably by 12:15 we'll know exactly all the trades when they're done. So. Yeah, second move your Hawks did, legend. Again, after the DeAndre Hunter trade, they send out Bogdanovic, but they still have, of course, Jalen Johnson, who is out for the season, but Zachary Richeche. Again, they're looking in a different direction. They're trying to play for something in the future. It's funny because there's so many in the Eastern Conference like them, like now Orlando, like Chicago, who are all under 500, who really just, you don't know what they're playing for. Orlando still could right the ship and get things going because they were playing so well at the beginning of the season, but Chicago and Atlanta, those teams are just, we've talked about it before, the land of mediocrity, Joe, and it seemed like, the Lakers were destined for that as well, but all it does is takes one trade, one move in the right direction, and things can look so far or so much more positive in allowing the Lakers to go ahead and just get now into a right direction. So things can change, but staying in that mediocrity in that area, excuse me, where they were at, positioned at that 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th position right there in either conference. It's really rough, but it looks like the Lakers have come out of it. But for those teams like the Atlantas and the Chicagos of the world, they're still in it, my friend. But again, they have to decide and commit whether they want to stay in there and stay mediocre or sell out and tank and try something new.
Well, Adam Silver, I just posted something from someone I don't really know, but I thought his message was pretty dead on. The NBA kind of putting a little smack onto the NFL for what the NFL did to them during Christmas. I have not seen one. Usually that kind of stuff kind of comes around you through the algorithms, right? I haven't seen, whether algorithm or not, any football news from people. It's been all Luka, Lakers, and the trade deadline, and where Durant might go, and what the hell Beal did, and what the hell is going to happen in Golden State. So it's pretty phenomenal. That
They've
the NBA,
commandeered this week.
they really did, and this was truly Super Bowl week. Last week was not Super Bowl week. This week is Super Bowl week. I saw a couple snippets of the media day. I haven't, and that was like a gag from the guy that was asking Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes questions about.
All I know is Kelsey and Reed are going to be around longer. There's nothing else. It's like you said, it's overshadowed the entire spectrum of what Radio Row, all that stuff that goes on, the hype of Super Bowl. It is completely blown away anything the NFL has put out there this week. Even with the Pro Bowl coming out last weekend, that was just like, was there an actual game or something going on? Because everybody talked about Luka.
That was so bad. I watched a little bit of maybe about 5 to 10 seconds of the flag football.
I'm sorry.
That was
5 to 10 seconds
bad.
too much.
It was just clicking through sports stuff in it, and they were playing it. I'm just like, wow, you guys are just terrible. It was supposed to be, the Pro Bowl was supposed to be a celebration of great play, a reward to go to Hawaii and to go enjoy family outings and enjoy this accomplishment of making the Pro Bowl as a player. Exactly. And enjoying getting literal lay on your getting laid, right? That was part of the tradition, and enjoying a cool game. And there was set parameters on play calling and defenses. Make it simple, and just play like you used to. Have some pride in it. But no, all the softness and all the garbage that owners and that weasel Roger Goodell created this whatever this is. At the same time, yapping about we care about player safety when it comes to the Pro Bowl. Yeah, that's why. But we want 18 games, and we're going to add another playoff team to the mix, so that a team might have to play at some point here 18 regular season games and then 4 playoff games. Yeah, that's really good for player health. Oh, and by the way, we're going to mix in several Sunday to Thursday games during that time too. Oh, and we're going to mix in a Friday game when you played Sunday as well. Oh, we'll mix in a Saturday game, and then you'll play Thursday after that. Okay, thanks, Roger. Thanks, owners. Greed, guys, greed comes in so many ways, and it's at the expense of those who truly love things. That's why people hate these powerful people sometimes. It's not about capitalism. It's not about fairness. It's just greed from scumbags. And in the end, we enable it because we watch it and we talk about it, and that's all. That's what they're wanting. That's what they want you to do. But the NBA won. The NBA won their trade deadline back. So congratulations.
Carrie's asking, do you think the Lakers will make any type of move in the next half hour?
I don't think so.
Bye, audience. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I don't think so. The Kleber thing was kind of a shot in the dark to try to get something, but I just don't see, because you can't attach anything to that trade. I don't see how anybody's just going to give someone better for nothing to get Kleber. It would have to be someone that matches the contract but has maybe an extra year on their contract, or maybe extra 2 years that they want to get rid of. But who is that? And whoever that is why would somebody want to get rid of that contract? And would the Lakers be able to use him? I don't know. We'll find out here in the next 32 minutes.
We will indeed, but we're here for you while that happens. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you staying with us. We've still got a crowd here, and so much appreciated by all of us. If you have not yet liked and subscribed, please do so. It really helps out the channel. Always love interacting with you guys in the chat. Cannot thank you enough. I'm posting the latest trades as they become available. The latest one was DeAndre Hunter going to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Karis LeVert, George Niang, and 3 second-round picks and 2 swaps. Really, a lot of these teams may have already, spent as much as they could spend over the course of the past few days, and may not have much left. But with this Terrence Mann trade from from the Clippers to Atlanta for Bogdan Bogdanovic, and then, of course, Bones Highland also going to Atlanta as well. Yeah, I think just around the fringes. I think that's all we're going to see is around the fringes left as far as before this is head on out. So, yeah, absolutely. I think before all is said and done, we're just going to see stuff along the fringes, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 more quick trades. And that might be it, Joe. That might be it. But it closed out on a whimper, but my God, it certainly gave us some big bangs before the trade deadline was all said and done.
We would have had to have look. We were on air for both acquisitions. It's on tape. It wasn't a special day like today is usually during the trade deadline. We were fortunate enough to be on air for both of the big trades that the Lakers made this weekend and weekday. I think that's kind of cool. I think it's cool how that worked out. Last night, we get Mark Williams. We had a chance to react as we saw it. You're never going to live down the Luka thing. That was a gift for our show. That was a gift for everyone.
And it's available now in a condensed form. Yeah.
Yeah. Your voice, Joe, it's real. And then Mark.
Joe for like 5 minutes.
Mark, not knowing what to do with his chair, going this way, going that way. Didn't know if he wanted to jump out the window. Quickly realizing what the hell he was saying and didn't make sense. Yeah, it was a very confusing time, but a very entertaining time and a very happy time.
YYC.
Eduardo, I'm sorry. Breaking Bad has an argument. It has an argument, but in my book, Sopranos 1, Breaking Bad 1A.
YYC says, would you put a weight clause in Luka's next contract, similar to what you talked about with Zion?
No. Sorry, folks. Those are 2 different scenarios.
Okay.
What's going to happen, in my assumption, is LeBron is going to sit down with Luka and have the power to extend my career. He could play till he's 45. Let's say 44. And we can win championships together. If you're ready to put your head down and really do this the right way, where we can last and he doesn't have to have the reoccurring calf issue, I think Luka listens. And even if he doesn't, I don't give a damn. Luka could play like the way he's been playing for at least another 5-6 years. And we know this because Shaquille O'Neal played overweight pretty much from 2001 to 2004. And they won 2 more championships in that time. And if Ori hits that shot in game 5 in 03, they win that game. They likely beat San Antonio in 6 or 7 or whatever, win a championship then. And then they were 3 games away from winning another championship that in 04. So you're not just get us to 19 when the Celtics are at 18. That's kind of what I'm looking at. That's all I'm thinking about right now. And they have a chance now to do that.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Cannot thank you enough for staying with us all the way through. I know that we have lost quite a bit of the crowd, but there's still some stragglers left, and we're truly appreciate that you're sticking with us throughout. Again, not much going on as the trade deadline nears. Again, just a small trade again with the Clippers in Atlanta. The trade does open up a roster spot for the Clippers. Atlanta has to clear 2 roster spots before the Cleveland, now LA Clippers trade gets finalized. But it does put, if the trade goes through for the Clippers, put them about $2.5 million below the tax, and it gives them more second-round draft picks, which, as we've seen, Joe, can become useful if you bulk them up in a trade. So yeah, I mean, the Clippers trying to make their moves. Obviously, they didn't have the big splash that the Lakers did. They're still a team with Kawhi hoping to contend in the Western Conference. We'll see what happens there. But again, that in all this, Joe, we had a very satisfying win in MSG, but it even what we should have thought would have been a more satisfying win against the Clippers on their home arena. And it just seems like with the euphoria with the getting Luka, that just seemed like icing on the cake.
Well, I would say the Clipper blowout was the icing on the cake. What it showed
That's what I
was
said.
yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the other way around. There was what it looked like, and they already showed it in the New York game. So I don't know necessarily if that had an influence as much as we're saying or hoping. However, I know for sure after yesterday in acquiring Mark Williams, I'm pretty confident that the Laker team right now are going, oh, snap. I think we got something here now.
Yeah.
And they're going to go. And on top of that, doesn't look like Jimmy Butler's going to be available tomorrow. So you don't have to worry about Wiggins. You don't have to worry about anybody tomorrow.
Tonight.
Tonight. And let's get this win before Luka arrives. Let's get another win here. Let's try to go get that 3rd, maybe even the 2nd seed. And we are going to the Lakers are going to be able to put themselves in a position where they start really starting to make other teams think.
Thameless is asking, do I think Pelinka's trade is even better than Orlando Magic proposal for center? Yes and no, because he does have the most upside of any of those, but just on sheer, I guess, if you added Isaac, Batadze, Cole Anthony, those 3, and then you added Gary Harris in there, I think that was, just by a sheer talent perspective, you're getting more players in to fill out your entire roster. But you got yourself a guy in Mark Williams who has the biggest upside of any of those guys. And again, at 23, has a chance to really grow. I know that there's been some detractors out there. I know that there's been some podcasts already that are trying to say this and that about Mark Williams. Again, the kid hasn't played a lot. Yes, but you take a chance on a guy like that. He has a lot of upside. He could, with the right, coaching and hopefully the right instincts defensively, really become a standout center in the league. And that's what I'm hoping for. So yes, I would probably say if you're looking for just sheer bulking up the roster with talent, probably what I would probably leaned against with mine. But this is for the future. Mark Williams is for the future and for the now. So I think either which way, you're doing yourself a favor. And again, you had to give up Connect, who we'll sorely miss. Liked his potential and what he could have done. His scoring ability is not every player has his true scoring ability that he has. And I think he's going to, if he ever works out his defensive issues, could really become a player in this league, much more so than I think Chris D or some of the other guys that we've talked about in the past. So we'll wait and see what Mark Williams can do. But yeah, at this point, I'd probably say Mark Williams is a good upside deal. But the Orlando trade, as far as I'm concerned, that was just, again, a lot of talent coming in that would really infuse the team with overall depth. But they traded for the upside. They got a guy in Mark Williams, and they didn't have to give up AR, and didn't have to give up Rui to do it. So there you go. Probably.
You guys want to hear an interesting stat that one of our colleagues just posted on our chat?
What was
you guys
that?
know what a standing reach is?
9-9. He's got 9-9.
So when Mark Williams holds his arm like this, he is 3 inches from the hoop. You know how much Wembanyama is? 9'7".
7. Yep.
Now, to put a little bit of a comparison here for everyone. In 2007, the Lakers acquired Trevor Ariza for Brian Cook and Maurice Evans. Some of you guys were probably still in grade school. Maybe some of you were in high school. Maybe you were in junior high or middle school. Some of you might not even been born. I don't know. But that trade in November, little November trade that no one talked about, and Ariza was injured that year too, going into the finals, and it was a big part on why, between that and Bynum, where they would have had a better chance at winning that series had they been healthy. But the following year, Trevor Ariza was the catalyst in the Lakers winning that, having a phenomenal year, by the way. They won 65 games that year. Should have been 67. They lost 2 games that year to the Sixers and to the Pacers on last second shots. So they won 65 games after getting beat in the finals in 08. Ariza was he was bona fide third star on that team that year and showed up even bigger in the playoffs. These kind of trades, the unknowns for people that don't really watch basketball, like let's say we do, the pieces that might not look attractive because of whatever, he only scored 6 points this one. You have to understand there's talent here, and there's also a guy that can enhance that talent to boot. We're not going to know until we see it. But this trade, there's really going to be 2 things that are going to happen. Either it was a terrible trade or it absolutely changed the Lakers. That's the 2. It's not going to be in the middle. This is going to be either a great trade or a bad trade. Bad trade if he doesn't stay healthy, if he gets injured, in a freak way, things like that. Things that you really, in a lot of ways, can't control. So, yeah. And remember, the draft picks changed on Saturday. Their worth changed after Saturday. They didn't have the same value after Saturday, because Luka is going to be 29 years old in 29, and he's going to be 31 in 2031, which means even if the Lakers still had those draft picks, they're likely going to stand, in my estimation, somewhere in the 20s. And they're good picks. I'm not saying they're not, but they're not lottery picks.
I'll just leave it at this. Again, Atlanta Hawks are trading Cody Zeller, and Houston. Actually, Houston is getting their own second-round pick back. Plus, they're getting Cody Zeller. So, I guess, yeah. I know Cody Zeller had not been playing for the team. He'd actually been, sent home. He was just collecting a paycheck, and so. But this trade puts Atlanta under the tax, so it's basically a cap clearing move, and Houston gets its own second round pick back. To Houston again, it's Cody Zeller. Yeah, he's on the book for quite a while. They may waive and stretch him at some point. But yeah, he's got 3.5. He's got 3 years left on his contract. My God, that's a bad contract to keep him on it. Joe, we still live in a world where Zellers and Plumlees are still a part of the NBA. And the Rockets are acquiring Zeller with part of the non-tax mid-level exception. Yeah, that's crazy, Joe. Zellers and Plumlees are still a part of the NBA equation.
When you said that name, I'm like, wow, really? Still?
Yes.
Yeah, the big shots have been shot, and there was one left, but I don't know if maybe Phoenix is getting. They're not gonna want to. They're not gonna want to let Durant go for less than what they probably got or gave out when they did get him. I was thinking maybe that might be a shot for Durant. Even Robert Williams was my prediction that might be something that could get done here. It may very well could get done here in the next 16 minutes, but that was my prediction. But I think the reason why it's probably not going to happen is there is a worry of the injuries with Robert Williams.
Dennis Schroeder is going somewhere else, Joe. Poor guy.
Where, Europe?
He's being rerouted to Denver. Excuse me, Detroit. Rerouted to Detroit as part of the Jimmy Butler deal. Sources tell Chris Haynes. So Dennis Schroeder. And with Dennis Schroeder, it all starts by, if reports are true, him turning down, what was it, an $80 million deal at the time or something like that? Was it something like that? And he was like in a, just
4-year, $88 million. That was
the
Nerlens Noel mistake that he made.
Yep.
That was a really bad mistake. Wow. Lakers got lucky on that one. We should thank we should thank him for that.
I don't know if Detroit's going to waive him or whatnot, but still, yes, he is being rerouted to the Detroit Pistons as part of the Jimmy Butler deal. But Jimmy Butler going to Golden State, so he's not going to Utah; he's going to Detroit. So yes, and we still have 15 minutes left here for our NBA trade deadline spectacular. It looks like no Laker Tom this time around growling about anything. In fact, he probably would be praising Rob at this point in time, like we all are. I think you'll be able to hear them. Hopefully, we'll get them on as far as the Lakerholics on the weekend, so that you guys can go ahead and hear it from them. But yeah, I will say this again. I just appreciate everybody for staying with us for the 3 hours. But at least to be 3 hours plus by the time we're all said and done. Absolutely. Just looking forward to hearing your thoughts continuously throughout this. And it's been great that you've been along this ride with us this morning. Parade on Figueroa. Great to have you back, my friend. Gerald and Joe says, I think the Lakers roster will give anyone hell. I'll take my chances with Luka and LeBron in a 7-game set. I'm not scared of Joker or Boston. What are your thoughts? As I said before, I think this makes them competitive with any team in a 7-game series. Like you said, Parade, with Luka and LeBron, if they're playing to their capabilities, they will be competitive against any team, whether it's Boston, Cleveland, OKC, Denver, whoever you want to say, whoever you want to put in front of it. I think they will be competitive. I didn't say they would beat. I said they would be competitive. They have a chance, and a really good chance, to beat any team in a 7-game series. And I'll just leave it at that. But Joe, I think
it's the perfect time for that to happen, because right now the NBA is still somewhat wide open, and to be able to say that gives the Lakers a chance to make a run when they weren't going to be making a run likely. As good as they were playing after the Knicks game, I saw there was a mental thing that I think was always going to linger.
Mm-hmm.
And that part of that mental part has been solidified, which is probably as big of a part as the talent that came from it.
The Pistons plan to keep Dennis Schroeder, by the way. They're probably not going to waive him.
Yeah, I don't care about Dennis Schroeder. I think we use Dennis Schroeder in discussions a little too much. I don't know why his name keeps being. I don't know what's between him or Markel Fultz. It's like, guys, can you stop talking about Dennis Schroeder and Markel Fultz, please? Enough already. We had Dennis Schroeder twice. How many more times do you want to get this guy?
This is true.
Markel Fultz hasn't played in a year. What the hell do you think he's going to do if he came to LA? You think he's going to miraculously start shooting well?
Yeah, but Joe, this goes back to everybody asking on a weekly basis to bring back Dwight Howard, Tristan Thompson, who I call Tristan Kardashian, all these JaVale McGee, all these that's all they know. Bruce Brown, just these names they're familiar with. It's a familiarity, Joe. It's a familiarity with somebody that they know and can relate to. So that's probably why that they want them back, because they remember them as they once were, not what they are now.
Well, folks, it's been a while. Get over it. It's done. Dennis Schroeder is not going to make the Lakers go up a notch.
I want to argue with Elfrid Payton, Blue. I want to argue with Elfrid Payton because he did, again, as a distributor, he is really good. Absolutely. Still really good. In fact, he got 22 assists in the game earlier this year, and New Orleans rewarded him by waiving him the next week. So
that'd be interesting if Bob Myers is saying that Grizz are trying to get KD, that would be interesting. You have 11 minutes to get it done.
Oh, blender. Bring back Trevor Ariza. There you go. I maybe more Trevor Ariza over Dwight Howard at this point.
What would they give? They'd have to give. They probably want. Phoenix would probably want Desmond Bane, right? They'd have to put Desmond Bane in there.
Yeah.
So Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart and draft picks.
Yeah, because I know they wouldn't give up Jackson. Jackson's playing too well right now in Memphis.
I tell you what, I would do it. I would do it if they gave me Smart, Clark, and Edey, and then I'd give them a couple of first-round picks. I'd make that deal.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get Jackson away. Jackson is playing probably the best in his career.
Yeah, you don't want to. You can't give up the core, which is Jackson and
Ja.
Yeah, and then you add Durant in that. That's a pretty good lineup. It's structured well.
Mm-hmm.
So make it happen, Memphis. Make it happen. Let's see LeBron and Luka go through Jokic and Durant on his way to a title. I think it would be kind of poetic.
Kerry, this season, I think Dennis Schroeder has been rumored or in line to go everywhere because he's been on 4 teams, five if you count Utah at this point. Yeah, that's crazy.
I hope he's staying at a Holiday Inn Select.
I can fly the plane.
There's no sense in owning.
Yeah,
there's no sense in owning a home if you're an NBA player who's likely going to get traded.
Didn't AD was about ready to settle on a $30+ million home?
I think he already had it.
Yeah, well, ouch.
Luka closed on a $15 million home just a week earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter, guys. If they're buying it for $15 million, they're going to be able to sell it for $16 million in a year?
Yeah.
Plus, property tax in Texas is very high.
Reggie Jackson is now available to anybody.
Yay, Reggie Jackson. That's another name that I love to hear all the time. I don't want trash, guys. Look. I shouldn't say trash. I should say rubbish. I mean Reddish. Sorry, Reddish. We don't want Reddish. We don't want the Woods. We don't want these guys anymore. We're done. We're done with this game, guys. We're done. We don't want any scraps. If you can bring talent, bring the talent, but no more scraps. We want viable, smart, productive players. And right now, I think we have it. I'm curious, Gerald, do you think Shake Milton might start playing better?
I mean, I like Shake. He's terrible defensively, Joe, but he does have a scoring ability, which could be needed coming off the bench. So yeah, if he's given time. But the thing is, you can't do the things where JJ sometimes plays him for 3 to 5 minutes a game. That nobody's going to be expected to do something like with just a little 3 minute short blip and then there you're done. You have to give a guy at least 10, 15 minutes of quality time to get a look to see if he can contribute to this team. I think he can be a scorer off the bench, but the thing is, him and Vincent, can they play together coming off the bench, do you think? Or are they just too small, both of them?
Small. Milton is small. He's not going to be able to play against some of the bigger guards, that's for sure. I don't think he'll be a rotational player in the playoffs unless somebody gets injured or something like that. So yeah, you're probably right. But I would like to see if most of the rotation, if it can go 9 deep, let's say, that it eases the team health wise and load wise, so that when they do get in the playoffs, they're going to run that 7-man rotation and everybody's going to be fresh and fluid. Because it drops to 7. If you can get to 8, you might be able to use 8 with Vando in certain matchups, sure. But how often, Gerald, do you see a 9-10-man rotation in the playoffs?
Rarely.
It's very rare.
It's usually 8. It's usually 7 or 8.
Yeah. So this is part of the we think during deadlines and during the season, we think in 12 to 15-man rotations, which is fine, because they all kind of usually work that way.
Except Tibbs, who runs a 5-man rotation.
Yeah, and he's always going to be the exception. So that makes sense in an 82-game season, but in the playoffs, you have to make sure the best guys are out there at all times. And the Lakers right now could start Luka, Gabe Vincent, DFS, LeBron, and Williams, and have Rui and Osteries come off the bench. I mean, this is a bona fide 7-man rotation now. And you could interchange those guys depending on matchups.
Here we go. Here's another one for you, Joe. Just under the deadline. It is Memphis Grizzlies finally making a move. Get that out of here. It's coming up right now. The Memphis Grizzlies are trading Marcus Smart and a 2025 first-round pick to the Washington Wizards in a multi-team trade that sends 2 second-round picks to Memphis. With that, I think it's creating...
That has to be a setup for something else, right?
Yeah, but it's also creating cap flexibility for Memphis to do just what you're talking about, Joe. So could they be doing something in the next 5 minutes as well? Because you wonder what would prompt them for moving off of Marcus Smart and giving up a first-round pick this season. Or this year, excuse me.
Kevin Porter Jr. to Milwaukee for MarJon Beauchamp. Well, we're going to find out here in the next few minutes.
That's an interesting one right there, because Porter Jr. is coming back into the league. Beauchamp, I know that has been on the outs at times within Milwaukee.
Does it, Gerald? What they gave up a first-round pick. I mean, why would they?
Why would no? Because they're obviously, like you said, they're obviously maybe a bigger trade in mind. Maybe in the next couple of months. Why would you give up Smart and the first-round pick this late?
So it says in a multi-team trade that sends 2 second-round picks to Memphis. So there's got to it's already saying that there's
another piece to it.
So we have to wait.
Yep. So there's probably bigger pieces added to this. So we will wait and see what that is. But yeah, it's just coming in under the wire. 3 minutes left. Can we pull off a shooting guard? Jamal at this point, I don't want to count on unless the Lakers are somehow involved in this trade. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, right now it looks pretty grim. Yes, Cam Johnson could be involved. You never know. We'll find out here, hopefully, in the waning moments of the NBA trade deadline. It is, of course, Joe Soro along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Rough Artist. Who is the Lakers' 8-man lineup? If that's the case, well, you're basically your 3 players coming off the bench for me would be Rui, Austin, and Vando. That would be what I have, and then if you want to sprinkle in a Gabe Vincent, there you go. As far as the 9th man, and then no, actually, did I put Rui in the starting? Yeah, I put Rui in the starting. So DFS, Rui, LeBron, Williams, Doncic. I put AR, Vando, and Gabe. There you go. There you go. That's what I'll do. Can the Lakers get Marcus Smart on a buyout? I do not believe they can get him on a buyout because we were corrected, and I do appreciate. I think it was Mike earlier said 12.8 is the number, not 15 like I had been quoting. 12.8 is the number. If they have a contract below 12.8, there you go. The Kings are acquiring Jake LaRavia.
No, Washington's not going to buy him out. He's got another year on his contract.
Oh, yeah, tough. You and Laker Tom. Laker Tom is in love with Marcus Smart. Absolutely in love with Marcus Smart. Jimmy is not playing today, John. From sources.
So no Jimmy, no Wiggins, no one.
Yeah. Kerry, if the team is actively still working on a trade, I believe the NBA does give them some leeway after the deadline to be able to finalize it. So I think that if they are working on a trade at the deadline, like right now, since we hit 12, I think they are allowed to go ahead and finalize it, but so they can get the paperwork in properly. So we should. I think they, get to 10, 15 minutes. So, we'll stay on here for a few minutes, Blue. We'll stay with you a few minutes longer. So we got this with you. We're now curious to what all this leads because Jake LaRavia just left.
It's over, folks. 12.
There you go. He was waiting to do that for 3 hours.
Yes.
But Jake LaRavia has left Memphis. We've seen Marcus Smart leave Memphis. Very interested to see what they get back. But I feel like that we're just missing this part of the puzzle, Joe. I still think there's a bigger piece in this equation when it comes to what's being traded. But maybe I guess not.
I don't know. I think there'd be noise by now that it's a Durant thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, could be. J-Bay, Smart can't be bought out. He's got more years on his contract. So
because I got Bob Myers mentioning it has me thinking.
Well, we'll stay with you here for the next few minutes before we head it out. Radio station says Dennis.
Weissman traded to Toronto for cash.
Yeah, that's just basically because Wiseman's out for the season. So,
jeez, what a disaster that is.
But nothing finalized as of yet. If we hear anything, but we'll stay with you here for a few minutes. Here you go. The Kings are sending a 2028 second rounder to Memphis plus Colby Jones and Alex Len to Washington to acquire the Grizzlies Jake LaRavia as part of the Marcus Smart trade, according to Mark Stein. So this isn't a big trade after all. This is just some flexibility.
What the hell is this crap?
Thought this was going to lead to something bigger, Joe. I was like,
yes.
There
was one more thing. Damn it. What a terrible week.
Exactly. But
it ended well.
It was not the big blockbuster deals to close out, but the big blockbuster deals already came through. Absolutely, yes. Again, I think it's over. I think this is probably the last one. Again, Sacramento is sending Alex Len, Colby Jones, their 2028 second to Memphis for Jake LaRavia, and also as well Marcus Smart and a 2025 first round pick go to Washington in this trade, multi-team trade. So I think that might just about do it. Blue Magic says the Brandon Ingram and James Wiseman super duo is hilarious. Carrie says Carrie says their top rotation is Luka, LeBron, Austin, of course, Rui, DFS. You got MW at 4, number 4,
Reggie
Vando,
Jackson has
Gabe.
been waived.
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Lakers got a center. Now you all stop tagging me. Dwight Howard. Sorry, I was reading
Yes,
my
I
stuff.
am.
I wasn't saying that.
Well, I still got to get the kids from school, Kurt. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. So
Do what?
I'm hoping. Nap.
Oh,
So yes. Looking forward to seeing what the Lakers can bring with this rotation that they have now. But yeah, Joe, I think we've done it. We've survived another NBA trade deadline.
the greatest one yet.
Yeah. But yeah, Luka, LeBron, Austin, Mark Williams, Rui, DFS, Vando, Gabe, and then Jax. Let's see if we can get it done.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, isn't it, that it's over? It's kind of having fun. Waiting. That was a fast 3 hours.
Waiting. Anticipation. Trading Wiseman gives Indiana flexibility below the tax. They were 147,000 below the tax prior to the trade, but now they're even more so. About 2.5 million now, almost. So yeah, and they now have an open roster spot. So, yep. Miles Turner, it's funny. He put a survivor. So Miles Turner, who has been the subject of many trade rumors, and I said he was going to say, I was saying, why, if you're a competing team, would you want to let go of your starting center? So he put this.
Yeah, Shams just confirmed that Durant is not moving from the Suns.
Yep. Will you guys be on playback for the game? Yes, we will be on playback for the game. Well, you guys are just glutton for punishment. We're gonna have a post game CCG, and you want a nightcap on top of it? My God, you want to kill Joe?
You got to give the people what they want, man.
All right. Well, the thing is, it's going to be 7
The
p.m.
thing is, CC, the nightcap, when it's that late, might have to change the name. The games are too late to have a nightcap. It's just an extension of the post game a lot of times because the game starts at 7:30, and then nightcap's like 11. I try to get to sleep at least by 12:30, guys. I don't want to stay up until 2, 3 in the morning. I can't function in the morning if I do that. But we'll figure out a schedule, a consistent schedule here.
Well, we'll have a post game. The post game lasts an hour and a half, 2 hours. Come on, guys. You gotta give us a break here at some point in time. We'll also be on 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes for the game as well. I mean, my gosh, we'll probably be on tonight from 7 to 11 p.m. That's another 4 hours of listening to us. So we love you guys. Now, if you could only multiply yourselves by 100, there you go. Would be also absolutely thrilled. Kurt, we did have morning shows. Magic Man in the morning. Remember, was it a Cup of Joe in the morning as well? So that's up to them how to restart those shows. So, yes, Marcus Smart was traded, JY, to Washington. Yes. The Doncic. Yes, there you go, Joe. I'll send you all a case of Hawaiian coffee. Ooh, there you go. There you go, Joe. Oh, it's funny because Badass. If anybody out there, because Badass was burnt in the fire. Badass Coffee, one of the best coffee places I've ever been to in Hawaii. Um, that one, unfortunately, in the tragic fire that happened last year, got burned down. But there is a Badass Coffee on the west side here in Vegas. Yeah, just absolutely tremendous stuff that they got there. Love their hot chocolate, but I'll leave it at that. Current Affair says I'm waiting for Coked Out with Laker Tom. Yes. If we ever do that, if we ever do a show that with Laker Tom by himself, just ranting at you guys,
I think we'd get a lot of views if somebody actually coked up during the show.
yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Tell you what, though, it looks like that's it. I think we can call it a day, Joe, on the Twitter. I think I can shut down the Twitter here in a second. But
Yes, again, thanks everyone for being with us. This was fun. It's been a fun
Yeah.
5 days. It's been probably one of those epic weeks of sports that we'll never forget. We'll be talking
I
about
see
this
why
10
they
years from now.
I see why they're doing the Marcus Smart deal because according to Bobby Marks, it's to free up salary for Jared Jackson because he is got an extension due. So
Good for them.
about money, all about money. All right, so I think that's going to do it. We're going to shut it down. If it had been busy, we would have stayed till 1, but it looks like I think we covered it all. I think we got all the trades done for you. 3 hours down. Man, we've covered a lot of hours over the course of the past few days since the Luka trade. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. And again, if you have anybody out there that really likes NBA and Lakers content, send them our way. Hopefully we can give them a shot as well as far as being a part of what they do and what they see, because we could really use your help. And make sure if you liked what you saw today, can you click that like button? Please, just click it, like it. Be truly amazing if you did. And then, of course, subscribe as well. It really helps the channel grow. I know we did get a few. Yay! A subscriber today. So I was really thankful for that, Joe, because it's last on that. We got over, I think, a dozen.
It's
on
like
our
the
show
Jack in
today.
a Box. It always
Yes.
startles you.
I think we got over a dozen today. So I'm truly grateful for that. Thank you. Blue Magic says still a great crowd. Thank you. Please hit the like button and subscribe on your way out. It would be immensely appreciated. But for Joe Soro, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. We'll be on later today. If I'm awake, I will probably see if I can hang an hour with Stone because he said Gerald, I'm going to be available at 4 p.m. today. I was like,
I'll be there.
you'll be there.
I'll be there.
Then you can host it because I'll be sleeping.
I'll host
there
it.
you go.
I'll host it.
Okay, because I got to be somewhere at 5, so that's why. So I got like an hour window to take a. Because tonight we're going to be on for you guys. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break.
We'll confirm with
course-
Stone, and we'll make it happen. I told you guys I took today off and evening, so I'm ready for whatever.
Should I set up for lunch with Stone? A late lunch with Stone?
I would say maybe a late or early dinner.
Okay, well I can't. That's all new graphics, man. That's something I'm not going to do right now. But I'll set up for you and Stone. Then I'll let him know. Hopefully it is, Alan. But again, this YouTube thing, it's so crazy. Again, this whole streaming thing on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, whatnot, it's just all crazy. Again, we're still a small little guppy in the sea of life, and we hopefully will get big enough to do this where we can be able to provide you the best of the best here, and we try to do what we can. But we do want to thank you for joining us again. If you got anybody out there that is a Lakers fan or an NBA fan, tell them to stop on by. We'd be glad you did. So, yeah. All right. The Lakers still killed it. They are the big winners of the NBA trade deadline. And Joe, any last thoughts before we head on out? Because we didn't say much over the course of the past 3 hours.
Man, I'm happy to be a Laker fan forever.
As am I.
I'm looking
As
forward
am I.
to. I'm really looking forward to the ride, and it's nice that you're gonna see a different version of what you've been used to seeing the last few years. You're gonna see the viciousness, but towards the opponent now.
We're just going to be loving it, Joe. There are the quirks. They do have their quirks between LeBron and Luca and all that. But my God, the pluses so outweigh the minuses in this equation. It just is unreal. Just to see Luca doing a step back. Yes, he might do like 5 step backs too many for some of you guys in the chat. I get it. I'm anticipating what you guys are saying. But you're bringing in a guy that is giving you a literal 30-point triple-double every single time out, alongside another guy who can give you a 30-point triple-double every time out. That's something virtually no other team in the NBA has. And as long as LeBron is playing at this high level, you got to cash in. I said it, guys. I said it before this week. I said you had to go all in because you don't have many chips left. You brought Luca. You got LeBron playing like this. You got to at least try. I mean, you don't have any assets left anyways, or at least very few left. You had to at least go all in with what you had. And I'm glad they did, Joe. And it's a win-win because you guys out there said, no, let's wait. Look at the summer. This is still a move, Joe, for the future with Williams, as also it is for the now with Williams, if he can really play to the level that we think he can.
You'll see. You'll see. That's a good one, Blue Magic. I like that one. Joe Soro and the Sorcerer's Stone. Would we get copywritten by the boys in
Warner Brothers?
Hey, you can't use that name unless you pay us.
Yeah.
Aren't they $40 billion in debt?
Got to make it up somehow. Pick on the little guy.
I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna try. I'm focusing on G. Parental guidance or G.
This wasn't a G for the show. We were 1 hour 45 minutes in. I'm like, dang, I think we're gonna get through with a clean show. Then Joe, mother effer. I'm like, oh well.
What are you gonna do?
Well. What are you gonna do? But it's great to have you here, Joe. Thank you so much for being part of what we're doing. I guess you're going to come on a little while then with Stone.
I know that I'm supposed to do something with Empire Jeff too, so we'll. I think it's going to be later in the evening though, so it's looking good. That I want to confirm with Stone and see if he'll still be available at 4, and then we'll get his input on what's happened here because it's going to be good. It's going to be real good.
I still love. You got to love Stone. I don't love it. I don't hate it. 4 p.m. I'm going to put it on the schedule here. I'll schedule it here in just a minute. So before I head on out and get the kids and probably die in the bed for at least a
go get some rest, man.
Well, it's tough sometimes running these channels. You know,
we have a Discord, don't we, Gerald?
We do not have a Discord. I mean, I have a Discord. Lakers Fast Break.
Twitch. I'm sorry, I always get those ones mixed up.
Discord's that whole jumbled mess of that's like WhatsApp gone wrong. Then I'll just leave it at that. So, guys, I tried to use Discord. Its interface is just so messy, absolutely so messy to use. If you get it and you see it and you use it, it becomes like the Matrix thing where you just see the code and you just understand it exactly what it is. But, seeing it from an outside perspective, I had to use it one time for a few months with the Dungeons and Dragons group, and it just did not. I just don't like it. It's just so messy. Discord's just so messy. Reddit. Sean made us a Reddit one time. Yeah. Just so many things out there. And We want something that sticks. And this YouTube, Joe, this is the one. This is the one outlet that has at least got us some kind of footing. Some kind of footing here. And that I'm very appreciative for.
Yeah, that's funny. Gerald goes to sleep. The Los Angeles Lakers have acquired Kevin Durant via a 3-team trade. Deal was finalized as trade deadline.
Oh, Joe will wake me up. Bro, get up. Let's do a show.
Wait,
Emergency
I
podcast.
did that one time, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Actually, you've done it twice. Yes. And there was
It's
one
okay,
time I was
Carrie. I'm not. By the way, Carrie, are you female or are you? I can't tell if maybe you're from a different country or and names are different.
we don't know. But the DFS trade, I fell asleep. That one I was like, I was out. I was out, and you guys let me know once I woke up about it. So yeah. But you have woken me up before with a trade, so I'll just leave it at that. But yes, all right, guys. I think we're going to shut it down. I don't think there's any more big news to talk about in regards to trades that hasn't already been done. Because right now, when they're all talking about Marshawn Beauchamp, that trade, yeah, that's and Kevin Porter Jr. I think they're pretty much done themselves. So, all right, on behalf of Joe Soro, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Tune in later today, around 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. It is going to be, I think, Stone Hansen and Joe Soro, and then after that, later on tonight, the Lakers and the Warriors. And of course, the best post game that's out there. One of the longest post games that's out there. It'll be, of course, right here from all of us on a great day, a great week, a great trade deadline, one of the greatest ever for the Lakers on the Lakers Fast Break podcast.
So another trade went through. Marvin Bagley III to the Grizzlies. Jeez.
That was the last part of that deal.
Yep.
All right.